When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, "Son, when you grow up, would you be the saviour of the broken, the beaten and the damned?" Ladies and gentlemen, and variations thereupon, welcome to the Black Parade! Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Modern Escapism. As you can tell, I am not Oodles. It is me, Stig, hosting for tonight because Oodles is off sick. Although I do find it a bit weird that he's off the same week that Leeds lost two games, one 6-0, one 4-0, and the same weekend that Elden Ring came out. It's a bit sus, if you ask me.
It's sus.
Yeah, a bit sus. But we have the regular crew with us. We have Candy.
Hello.
Gadget.
Hello.
Biggie.
Hello.
And stepping in for Oodles, coming on as a better Oodles, a better podcaster. Sorry, it's DeadbeatpunK.
Hello.
Oh, for fuck's
See,
sake.
I'm sick too, and I made it here.
Yeah, I am as well. So, well, I guess I'll get into the shilling and the selling of the Patreon before we get into everything. So I'll hand you over to that marvellous, magnificent sexual bastard known as Stig for the Patreon.
Bloody hell.
When I host, I get to say whatever I want.
It's the only bit you put fucking effort into.
It's true.
Shots fired.
So, yeah, if you like what we do, we have a Patreon, and if you head over to patreon.com/modern escapism, you can see the tiers we do there. The first up, for £5 a month, it's Modern Escapees. That gets you an extended edition of this episode every week, as well as at least one monthly special, and any other specials we do. As well, you'll also be able to suggest episodes for us to do, which is what we're doing today. We're doing DeadbeatpunK's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah!
It's going to be so much better than Super Natty's Cats.
Thank you. This is what I voted for.
Thank you, Biggie. Biggie got my back.
Yes, mate.
My back is all Biggie.
You got Biggie all over your back.
Oh. That's why I paid the Patreon.
Fucking hell.
I think we broke
Look at
Stig.
He's getting in my selling already.
I'll
Put me
kick you in the
off
chest, you cunt.
I'm trying to sell our shit here, man.
Give us your fucking money.
Give us your money. Give us your fucking money. And if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you can give us your money by signing up to the Scorched tier for £5 a month. That will get you ad-free early access of the episodes, as well as artwork by Candy and any original music, battle maps, and character sheets we put together for the show. And you'll also be able to suggest NPCs and items for Gadget to use in the campaign. And for £7.50, it's the Biggie Bundle, and it gets you everything.
Excuse me.
Price is subject to...
Including that.
Including that, yeah.
As an MP3 if you want to use it for a ringtone. Sorry.
Price is subject to VAT.
And if we have one more Patreon subscriber, we'll make sure that DeadbeatpunK takes over permanently from Oodles.
I've been saying this since the first episode.
Yeah, it's in the,
Maybe that should be our next stretch goal. Get past 100 and... Sorry, Oodles.
It's in the listeners' hands. It's on you.
So he must have known this was coming. You have an episode off, you get slagged off. That's just the way it
Absolutely
goes.
It's the rules.
It's the rules. We love you, really. Anyway.
We're all getting fired next week.
Rest in peace.
I need to keep remembering that I'm hosting this week. So, as the host, I will move on to what we've been up to. And Candy, tell us, what have you been up to this week?
Actually, I haven't been up to a whole lot, I'm afraid to say. I've been...
Excellent. Biggie, what about you?
I'm the same as Candy.
I have done a few things. Well, to be fair, like most of my spare time I've been spending with Aloy, and such a pretty game. Oh, it's so good. I spoke about last week. I'll revisit it once I finished and go into it in detail. So one of the few things I've been doing, I've started listening to Eddie Izzard's autobiography called Believe Me.
Cool.
So it's been a whole week of starting things that I haven't actually finished yet. So you're just going to get a half-assed Nexus, I'm afraid. But yeah, before I carry on, I did look up her preferred pronouns, and she prefers she, her. And if I get it wrong, it's purely a slip of the tongue. I don't mean any offense by it. Yeah, so it's her autobiography. I think it came out within the last couple of years, and it's really, really interesting because she narrates it as well, and it's funny to listen to what kind of crazy tangents she goes off on as she speaks. So she's written the book, but while she's narrating, she'll actually go into sort of more detail. So what she says is it's an accompaniment to. I think she must have done a live show as well, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, there's a new one at the moment.
I'll be watching it. Yeah, so it's probably the same thing. So this is the accompaniment to that. Yeah, it's a really nice insight to how her mind works. As I said, she goes off on the tangents, but at the same time, you can almost kind of tell that as she's been putting pen to paper or whatever you want to call it with an audio, but she's kind of figuring things out about herself, and she'll kind of mention it as she goes along. It's been a really good listen. It's obviously, like I said, quite a cathartic experience for her. What I found interesting was she doesn't really go much into being transgender. So the point of the book I'm at the moment, she's still talking about her young life, and she sort of says, that those feelings were always there, but there wasn't, or she certainly hasn't gone into any particular moment where she thought, right, this is me, that I'm transgender kind of thing. It's almost like she talks about it as if it's just no big deal, which is quite, it's nice because I sort of feel like I wouldn't feel awkward to ask about it. Like, you sort of want to ask questions about how they feel about certain things without causing any offense. Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed her comedy anyway. Like, it's just so bizarre, and you can see like so much of it is kind of off the cuff as well. And it's just like she talks about she's dyslexic, but only sort of in certain ways. So she has like 50% of typical dyslexicness. So she doesn't feel like, she sort of feels like a bit of a fraud being dyslexic as well. But it's obviously completely apparent in the way she writes things and talks about things, and then just absolutely goes off on one. And I listen to audiobooks when I go to bed, and I normally kind of drift off, but I have been staying awake and actually managing to listen to some of it. And I think it's like every 5 minutes I will be just pissing myself laughing. And it's not a funny book. It's an autobiography of their life. And it's really quite sad as well because she lost her mum so young, and goes into quite a bit of detail with that. But it is just, it's funny as well, the way they sort of narrate their own life. So that's been really enjoyable. As I said, I haven't finished that yet, but it's been good so far.
I always find too, comedians never turn off how they talk or how they construct sentences, so you're getting an amazing level of insight that's still delivered in an entertaining way, even if they don't intend to do it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's obviously like completely natural, just a very sort of different way of thinking, I think. And she even goes on to sort of mention that, like I said, she kind of makes notes and has sort of footnotes as she's speaking. But she said, actually, I was analysing things at a really young age. I must have been about 4 at that time when, obviously having these quite complex thoughts about her life. But yeah, really good. What else have I been doing? I started Tales from the Loop. Has anyone seen that?
Haven't, no.
So,
I've seen the role playing game because it's based on the original art, which I think the TV show is then based on.
Yeah, that's right. It is based on art. So it's kind of a like a paranormal sci-fi type show. A bit kind of Twilight Zone, and it's like a collection of stories based in one town, which is or which surrounds this this company called The Loop, in which they're obviously seemingly up to some time control and various other experiments, and not too sure if they're up to no good or exactly what's going on at the moment. But it's good. It's quite sort of it's quite dry. It's quite serious in tone. But I do love a good sort of Twilight Zone, like story of the week kind of thing. Really, really good. But I haven't got too far into that. And also this afternoon, I watched the DICE Awards, and I'll probably go into it more with the in our green room after the show. But that was enjoyable as well. I had a lot of Todd Howard, had a lot of my husband introduce the show. So, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I
did enjoy that clip of Game Over Greggy just going on stage going, you know what? Fuck Bobby Kotick.
That's what I was going to mention, because
so good.
Yeah, it was so good. He just comes out and says it, and he calls the companies out. He calls Bobby Kotick out. He doesn't pull any punches. But one thing with that is that it's a tough one with that, because Blizzard's, so many people are boycotting Blizzard for honourable reasons, obviously. But the thing is, you have to remember that the victims of these horrible workplace things that have been going on, a lot of them are still working there. So not only have they had to live through this just shitty work environment, now they're seeing their own game getting boycotted as well. So I think there's better ways to support the people that work at Blizzard than boycotting. And I remember when it all kicked off a couple of months ago, they put out some charities that you could donate to instead of boycotting. So I did that rather than, and not that I play actually that many Blizzard games anyway, but I just, the thought of them having to go through this and then potentially now losing their jobs as well is just a horrible thing to think about, really. But yeah, back to the DICE Awards. Fun. It was just a typical kind of game awards show, really. Oh, and Phil Spencer got his Lifetime Achievement Award, and he had a nice little speech as well. He seems like a thoroughly kind of nice bloke. Obviously, like a complete nerd.
Yeah. He's got big nerdy dad vibes.
Big nerdy dad vibes. Big vibes, yeah, for sure.
I'd love to get him on my show.
You never know. Maybe that's next week's guest. Exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just want him to get Game Pass on Steam Deck, and then we're all good.
It looks like that might be happening, doesn't it? I think there's
he wants Game Pass on everything. So if Gabe is open to having it on there, then I'm pretty sure it's going to end up on there.
Yeah, Gabe's come out and said that they're not doing like a Steam Deck subscription service, but he's happy to have Game Pass on it.
Oh, I mean, I was going to try. I was going to probably install Windows or something on it to get Game Pass running on it. But if they're just going to say, yeah, make an app for it, it can go on there. You can play your Game Pass games. You can play your Steam games. Fuck, that's just. Yeah, I'm keeping my if that happens, I'm keeping my pre-order because.
Yeah, it's not beyond the realms of probability, is it? You never know. But yeah, that's it. Bit of a boring week, unfortunately. Not much that I've finished, but next week will be a good one, I promise. Because I'm not here.
Bombshell.
Right, we'll move on to you, DeadbeatpunK, our esteemed guest. What have you been up to this week?
Well, I got sick just for the show. So I hope you all appreciate that. Yeah, and still turned up.
We very much do.
We appreciate you turning up when you're sick, It's more than some people
admirable.
do. Have you noticed as well, he's got his fucking Cliff Richard chop on again.
I don't take this off. This is me now.
He wore that on the episode of Fuck My Work Life that we went on together. And unfortunately, they didn't get the joke because they don't know who Cliff Richard is. He obviously didn't break America. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, actually. I had a really good time on that episode.
Yeah.
We had a really good podcast for that. But yeah, what have you been up to?
I have been up to plenty, but when I was sitting down to make notes for the show, I realised that most of what I've been up to is for future episodes of my show and a future episode of somebody else's podcast. I was like, oh, fuck. Can't really talk about those. So I go, I'll talk about what I've been playing. But last week, Candy kind of talked about Forbidden West very well, a lot more coherently than I ever will. So I'm kind of fucked. So I have been playing Wasteland 3 again. I've been playing a co-op with Pangram Soup.
That's a great game.
Yeah, fucking superb. Played it on the Xbox One X originally, and the loading screens killed it. It is built for the PC if you have the choice.
Oh, really?
But with Series X out now, the loading screens, they're still bad, but they're nowhere near as bad as they used to be. So
How does it play on console? Because I played it. I did my first run through of it on PC when it first came out, but I've been it's sitting on my Xbox. I'm thinking I should kind of play that at some point because I enjoyed it, and I kind of want to do one of the other builds.
A fantastic port job. You can understand the limitations with the controller. Never as natural feeling as the mouse and keyboard, but they did the best they could do. The only flaw I had with it was the loading times. There is an area towards the end. I'll not name it for obvious spoiler reasons, but you transition from like a main hub area to other parts of the map quite frequently in the quest line, and every time you moved map, full on like 3-minute loading screen. So that kind of took the sting out of it a little bit. Glad to see that's improved.
Yeah.
What type of game is it? Because I've heard of it, but I've never played it before.
It's like your old computer RPGs, very much like Divinity, Original Sin 2, if you ever tried it, but with guns.
No, but I know, yeah.
It's giving me the fix the original Fallout.
Yeah, it's an evolution of the concept behind the original Fallout. So it's isometric, it's real-time RPG for most of it, but then turn-based when you get into battles.
Yeah, you build up your squad, different skills. Great time. And you're a D&D nerd now, so you love it doubly as much.
Yeah. I had the Wasteland 2 Kickstarter. I love that game. That was really cool.
Yeah, I was the same. That was the return to form.
Yeah. It's got a wicked sense of humour as well.
One
of the military commanders is a cat.
Candy's instantly, I mean...
an incredibly arousing goat, but, you know...
Oh, yeah.
You
no
need to play this.
Did you just say rousing or arousing?
Arousing, my dear.
Oh. Lovely.
I say, waiting for Forbidden Wasteland, I also started Cyberpunk as well and canned it just as quick. That's a bag of shite.
Yep, it's now uninstalled from my Xbox. I'm not going back to it.
No.
I just don't know whether I can be bothered just hearing what everyone says. I did the prologue, I did everything up to the Cyberpunk logo, and then the scene after it regarding Jackie. I won't go into spoilers, but I did that, and that's where I left it. I thought that's a good place to leave it. So when they fix the patches, I've not forgotten everything. I kind of know where the story is, and I can go from there. But everything everyone keeps saying about it, it's just like, what's the point?
No, it is literally a case of what is the point? There's no point to
I've got other games I could play that are better.
I will persevere.
Which is a shame, but yeah. Just I know you said obviously Candy touched on Forbidden West, but what are your thoughts on it?
The story I have found fantastic, and at small point, facial animation, they're on par with Naughty Dog at the moment.
I've noticed that more as I've gone along. Actually, like to begin with, I was like, "Oh, this looks a bit odd," but actually, I don't know why at the beginning of the game it looks quite jarring. But actually, no, they've really captured it.
I think it's when you meet characters that are going to be throughout the game. They obviously put more effort in those faces, reactions, captures. But yeah, it looks stunning.
I've seen people showing the photo modes and zooming right in and just showing all the details. Yeah. I saw one on Twitter today, which is incredible. He's like, look at this. And you zoom in on the eye and you can see the reflection of what she's looking at in her eye. And you can see the sunlight going through the cartilage of her ear and all the little tiny hairs on her ears and stuff. The attention to detail is incredible.
This is the same game engine they used to make Death Stranding. You can see the DNA from there. That is an incredibly impressive engine. When they go PS5 only, that's going to be some immense work.
Yeah.
The only thing about the game, the climbing is janky as fuck.
Do you think? I find it much easier than it was in the last. To be fair, I think actually everything about this game is way better than the original. That's saying something because the original was good.
Yeah,
the original was so good. But no, I don't. I mean, I don't find it any more janky than most games where climbing is involved. There's always it'll always slip to the wrong side or slip to the other side. But I think I've never accidentally dropped off something from mistiming a jump.
Yeah, I've had a couple of instances where I melted through a platform and
I haven't
underneath it. The grappling hook only being available at very certain points, I think, is a missed opportunity. But that could just be Halo talking.
Because everything now needs a grappling hook.
It does. Fuck.
It really does.
But
See,
yeah,
I
apart
never
from
with
that,
Breath of the Wild. This, I never played Breath of the Wild, but I imagine it's what Breath of the Wild is like to play with the climbing and with the
spoilers. They stole the glider.
Yeah, I see. That's what I've seen, and that's what made me think. Yeah, it was the hang glider.
But the improvements to the climbing, because there's no longer one path you have to follow, which was quite dull. It is opened a bit more. It does work well. It's more interesting, but when it misses, like I've Bethesda'd up the side of mountains. It's quite janky.
You're like jittering up all the way up like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's practiced hands. I've got to the highest peak in New Vegas. I can climb anything.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on to you, Biggie. What have you been up to this week?
Well, I'm sure you'll be happy for me to talk about. I'm a trendsetter, as we know, so I'm more than happy to.
Other than watching the mighty Liverpool win the League Cup.
Of course, mate. Are we saving that for Patreon?
Yeah.
Save that for a fucking one-off special, would you?
But I'm sure you want me to talk about Elden Ring or Studio 66 because I'm that sort of person that has got my finger on the pulse. But actually, what I want to talk about is the trip to the Natural History Museum that we did yesterday.
Oh, banging!
Yeah.
I was worried for a second we were going to get another fucking wallpaper engine chat.
I forgot about that.
I've got it still installed. It's amazing. You need to get behind that wallpaper engine.
I've got it
I know,
installed.
but you talked for 10 minutes on a
never
Because
used
it was
it,
all I've
actually.
been playing with at the time. What do you want me to do? I can't talk about my penis. Well, I could, but no, it's. But no. Basically, when my wife was away, I was reading a book to my daughter one night, and it was called Maisie Goes to the Museum. And she was obsessed that in this wonderful little cute story, it went to the Natural History Museum, and there were dinosaurs, obviously, and there's a little picture of a dodo in the book. So he was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "That's a dodo. What's a dodo?"
It's dead as fuck.
Trying to explain to a 4-year-old about extinction and things like that. So yeah, she was adamant that if we ever go, we have to go and see that. So yesterday we took a trip to London. We went to the Natural History Museum. Went there as a kid. Don't remember an awful lot about it, but obviously we remember the big blue whale, which is still there, thank God. But it looks really cool. The museum is amazing. They've done a great job, I guess, of just improving everything, and the displays are fantastic. There's a massive animatronic, if I can say that right, Tyrannosaurus Rex that you can go and see, and that is just scary as fuck. It's really cool.
It's small though, isn't it?
Do you know what? I was thinking that can't be natural size, surely. But yeah, it still looks really cool.
They're tiny.
Or maybe I'm just too big.
They've got a thing there, though, haven't they, with the T-Rexes? They've got the actual skeleton, but there's a bit where you can walk around. They've got like an animatronic
That's right.
version as well, yeah.
It's just really interesting. It's really well presented. Had a great time. Spent a couple of hours walking around the museum, and it's big as well for those that haven't been there. It's a massive, massive place. And then they announced that the museum was closing in 10 minutes' time, and my daughter suddenly turned around and said, "But we haven't seen the dodo." Cue massive panic as we ran through literally areas that we were told we weren't allowed to go through anymore, and doing this weird like Forrest Gump run through with the ushers chasing after us going, "You can't go through there." And I said, "Well, that person said I can. She needs to see the dodo." So we're pelting through, and we made it. We found it literally in the last area. We'd missed it completely. I don't know how we missed that section. But yeah, she was very happy. So Natural History Museum, check it out. It's really current. And then
it's free.
It's free. Yes, you
Biggie, but
make donations.
How?
Yeah.
How is Biggie's Bedtime Stories not a Patreon special?
Happy to do this if people want it. It's
I'd be all over that.
I even do the voices as well.
You should be sat in bed with a rock on all night.
You
never get to sleep.
Well, there's one way to make yourself go to sleep. But and then the other thing I had to tinker with as well was to get RetroArch working on my Xbox One, which I didn't realise I could do.
Ooh.
I realised people were talking about the Xbox S and the Series X because they're really easy to remember. But yeah, just had a tinker with that and got RetroArch up and running. You don't have to do an awful lot. You go onto Microsoft's website, pay £13 to have the dev kit function on your Xbox. You're not even breaking your Xbox, jailbreaking it, none of that at all. And then you can install RetroArch and play lots of retro games that are running really well.
Nice.
So, yeah, really happy about that. But that is literally all I've done this week.
Are Microsoft the goodies now?
I think so.
I think they are.
Big time.
I think they might be.
I think so. Yeah, it's great. It's just they've. I heard a rumor at one point they were going to try and stop it because they were worried about people hacking the console and stuff. But yeah, it's still going. It's still available as an option. So
yeah, because what is it? You access the debugging menu on the Series consoles.
That's right. And then you
get
your PC to remote access to the Xbox and install it, and then you just copy and paste all the ROMs that you clearly own, and
of course,
away you go. And yeah, I've got SNES.
There's another feature: Biggie's hacking sessions.
Once
that YouTube tutorials waiting to happen.
Once that Steam Deck's out, we need the hero.
Yeah, so but I love tinkering with stuff that I own. So yeah, I love it. Really happy to see that up and running.
Awesome.
It's not perfect by any means, but it needs a bit of work. But yeah.
So what's the game you test whenever you set up an emulator? Everybody's got one.
Do you know what? It's really weird. On the SNES, because of alphabetical, because I have loads of SNES ROMs, I literally go for Asterix for some reason, just because I know the game and I whack that on and it obviously plays. Asterix is my go-to for some weird reason.
Because top of the list and you can't be asked to scroll down.
And you know me and scrolling.
Awesome. Right, I will go next. The first thing I did this week that I want to talk about was I watched the new Scream.
Mm.
It's a bit shit.
Oh no.
So I've heard.
Yeah, it's just doing that whole. I think it's just the new Hollywood trend to make everything meta. And I know Scream has always been meta, but it's going beyond like what Scream 1 and 2 did. And it's getting a little bit silly, and it's almost you really expect at one point for them to just look into the camera and talk directly to you about like how meta this is, and like give you a knowing wink. It's just I mean, the deaths, the positives are the deaths are brutal. It's a horror film. It's a horror film, so they aren't silly. I think Scream 3 got to the point where it got a bit silly, but this it's generally quite visceral and upsetting. There was one point where someone's getting stabbed, and I was like, for me, who's seen a shitload of horror films and every death you can even think of, someone just getting stabbed the way they do in this film, and I was sat there kind of feeling a bit uneasy about watching it. So it's effective in that way, but everything else about how it's meta and all this shit is just, I just couldn't be arsed with it after that. There's a moment where it slags off Rian Johnson and the Last Jedi, and I just thought, okay, I know where this is going. And then for the rest of the film, I just rolled my eyes at all the references and everything they were talking about and doing. I just think they went in the wrong direction with it. So yeah.
Do you think the slasher movies kind of died a death? Fucking hell. In that way, just because there isn't much to it anymore, unless they can come up with a brand new spin on how to do it. It's what can you do? You've had the gore, you've had the stalkers. What else can you do?
Yeah, see, slasher movies got to the point where it was just like, how do we up the ante with the kills? How do we make more kills and more spectacular kills? Like when I talked about Halloween kills, like he's gone from, like Michael Myers went from killing 3 people to 30 plus people in all manner of weird and wonderful ways. And like I said, this film kind of is effective with its kills, but it's just everything else around it is just, you just roll your eyes at it and you're like, oh, like really, that is where you went. And yeah, like it almost wants to go, this is a film, remember, this is a film. And they tried to take the piss out themselves and the studios, like very much like The Matrix tried to do at the start of The Matrix Resurrections. And yeah, it just, at that point where I knew where it was going, I just kind of tuned out. I just wasn't interested at all. And it was very, like, obvious, like, who it was and who the killers were. I just wasn't into it. And somehow we're getting a Scream 6 as well, apparently. So,
See, I seem to remember Scream was always like it was an 18, but it was always kind of aimed at teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I remember I probably watched it when I was maybe about 14. I think it was exactly the right age. But would you say it's still aimed at around the same age? Like, if a 14-year-old watched it, would they think, actually, this is really fucking cool?
no, this is aimed at like probably early to mid 20s.
Shite then.
Yeah, I will gladly like go into it off the mic, so I don't spoil it for you. But I'll gladly, like, if people aren't bothered about watching it and the spoilers, and tell you about what kind of happens in it and why I think it's a bit shit. But for spoiler reasons, I won't do it because there might be people listening who want to watch it. But yeah, I've seen like some of my friends and people have followed Letterboxd like really enjoyed it, but I couldn't get on with it. It wasn't for me.
The thing is, the original one was like really sort of tongue in cheek. It was like a play on those kind of movies, the don't go on your own out there sort of thing. And
yeah, exactly. Like that was the point where we've not kind of done that. That was meta, wasn't it? That's the whole point of it. That was the whole point of Scream, and it was inventive and new. And yet it's just doing that again, but overloading it with. I hate to keep saying this word meta because the demon spawn will appear behind us if we keep saying it too many times. But this one is just like meta times 1,000. And it seems to be the new thing this year. I think we're going to see a lot more of these kind of films where they're just kind of like winking at the audience and going, hey, you know, we're in on the joke as well.
Is it on the same level as New Nightmare?
No, but New Nightmare's good. I like that one.
I did too.
Like, but
Right. Just because I know that one was supposed to be like massively self-referential.
It wasn't perfect.
yeah, but that
it
works. That really works. New Nightmare
okay.
really, really works. It did like something new and inventive, and that it really works. And that was actually generally a really good horror film. But this is just, and it's just full of really annoying teenagers, like explaining things to you as the audience. It's like, I know
rooting for the
this.
killer in this one.
Sorry,
Are you rooting for the killer in this one?
not really.
Just if they're that annoying, that's all.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a bit of a miss for me, unfortunately. The main thing I did this week, though, was I played Martha is Dead. So, full disclosure, I got a code for this. I played this. I wanted to get this played before I started Elden Ring. This is from developer LKA and published by Wired Productions. This is the game that has famously been talked about this week because of Sony censoring something from the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get onto that in a minute. But basically, the setup is you play as Julia, who is an Italian girl who it's set in the backdrop of World War II. You are living in this villa away from the war in Italy at the moment, and your father is working with the Nazis. So there's a bit of stuff going on there with like rebels in the area and what your dad's been up to. But Julia one morning wakes up and she goes down to the lake to meet her sister Martha and discovers that she's dead. She has drowned in the lake, and it becomes a murder mystery horror game trying to figure out what happened to Martha, and everything kind of spirals after that point. It's a walking sim. So if you like walking sims, it's that kind of game. I do like a good walking sim if it's got a good, engaging story. I think the story is really engaging. I think what they're trying to do with the story and what they're trying to tell in terms of grief and mental health and everything on that line is really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a few issues with the way that the game presents its horror. I think at times it doesn't do it enough. It kind of tries to do that thing where you're wandering around and you'll open a door really slowly, like because something's going to be on the other side. And I just wish that it did have a bit more of that in it, that it had a bit more jump scares. I think there is probably about 2 jump scares in the whole thing. The rest of the horror is more about unnerving and trying to keep you feeling unnerved, which it does really well at times because the soundtrack is brilliant. They do this really wonderful thing with a violin where it's like someone playing it wrong and plucking at the strings and scratching the strings, and that really gets under your skin. But I had a few issues technical wise. I had issues at times with interacting with things. It wouldn't interact with things.
Oh, what are you playing it on?
I had one Xbox. So I had, at one point, for some reason, all the graphics just blacked out. And I couldn't see what I was doing. I went into this little area
Was
where
it because you closed your eyes?
No. You have to go into this area to use do a Morse code puzzle, and I couldn't see what I was doing because I couldn't find the Morse code thing because the screen was just all the text just went black, and I couldn't see what was. I found it, but just by happenstance, I was just clicking X everywhere, and I found it. But then when it loaded it up, I couldn't see the actual Morse code machine. So it's just eventually I managed to do that when it had reloaded into a different day. And I went back in, but there was just these little things. I found myself at times when I was wandering through the woods, just getting snagged on scenery and unable to move. So I had to reload back to the last autosave. Luckily,
that's never good.
No, luckily it autosaves quite regularly. So the most I lost at one point was like 10 minutes. So it wasn't too bad, but it's just these little things that they probably should have ironed out before they'd done that. But it does a really good thing with what I really liked was the mechanic of how you solve things is through photography. And you have this old, obviously 1940s camera, and you get all these different types of film for it, different types of flash bulbs and everything for it. And you kind of go around the area you're in, taking pictures of things. You take it back to the dark room, you develop these photos, and you unsolve the mystery by doing these, by taking these photos and developing them. So I really like that. And also, if you're the kind of person who wants to just go around and take pictures of nice scenery and develop it and put it in your photo album and save to your Xbox, you can do that. It's really good. It gives you all these different options that you don't have to use, but it gives you them. There's a lot of things to do, like your typical walking sims. There's a few side quests you can do if you want to. You don't have to do. But let's talk about the face cutting scene.
I was going to ask.
So the scene that got taken out by Sony was the scene where you cut off somebody's face. And while that is quite gruesome, that isn't the worst thing in this game.
There was another scene that Sony got cut out as well. I think it was someone being stabbed.
Mm-hmm. Did Sony take the
Is it
scenes
somebody
out,
being stabbed?
or did they take the QuickTime events portion of it out?
Yeah, on the Xbox version, you can do the QuickTime event, or you can just click skip. It does give you the option to skip that.
Yeah.
And there is actually a bit right near the end where it gives you a trigger warning. It actually comes up on the screen and says this next section will include this. I'm not going to go into what. If you don't want to see this, you can skip this. And you can play the mission, but at the point where this happens, the game will skip, and it does give you that trigger warning. But there are at least 3 different things in this game that I found way more disturbing than that face cutting scene. That face cutting scene is tame compared to these.
So I've just looked it up. Yeah, Punk, you're right. So on the PlayStation,
the face fucking right.
The face peeling scene is no longer interactive, so it's just a cutscene. You don't actually control anything in it. And then there's another one that involves Julia cutting something out of somebody, which is no longer interactive.
That's the scene.
Then
it's fucking. I sat and watched that, and I physically when I did it because it doesn't bother me, but I did it, and I was just like, and I actually said out loud,
faces all the time.
All the time. Can't see my row of them behind me. Yeah, it made me say out loud. I was like, "Fuck." I was like, fuck me, like they've put all that stuff about the face and people kicking off about that and talking about that. This is way worse.
Do you think it's possible that the censors read what the scene entails? Because on black and white on paper, like that does look quite choice.
Oh yeah, it's quite bad. Like I can see why people would skip it, but I don't know why Sony took it out. There is an option on the Xbox. It just says press Y to skip, and you just skip the scene.
Sony have started taking out naked kids from their games and everything. They've got very soft of late. They don't know their audience at all.
The last bullet point on that list of things that Sony asked to have removed was any mention of masturbation has been totally removed during the church chapter. This includes voiceover and text. I'm wondering what the byline is on this.
Oh, the candle wax everywhere.
Yeah, that when she starts talking about that, it's a bit like, wow.
So Sony have done the game and Xbox a huge favor then, because they've made all this buzz about this game, and people are going to play it on Xbox because they want to see what actually, like, how bad it is.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I think it does some things really well and some things not so well. I think that I gave it a 7 out of 10 in the end, but mainly because of the technical problems I had with it. But in terms of the story, I really like the story. I played it in Italian because obviously it's set in Italy. It's the default option is Italian. I put it to English. They started talking English. I thought, this sounds shit. They sound shit. So I put it into Italian and played the whole thing in Italian, which I thought was better because it added to the aesthetic and the setting and everything. It really worked for me in Italian. But yeah, I, if you like walking sims and a horror, it might be for you. You might enjoy it. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't one of my favourites when it comes to that genre. But
worth a go once it hits Game Pass.
Yeah, once it's on Game Pass, maybe give it a go. Hopefully, then they might have patched some of the problems that I had with it. So, Gadget, I have left you to last because the main event, the big release this week. Let's hear it.
So, a couple of things I'll quickly mention before I get onto the big thing. I didn't get Halo finished, but I did make some progress in it. I'm now 3/4 of the way through it, enjoying it still.
Yes.
I've found the best way I find to get through it because I hate the boss fights. I really, really fucking hate the boss fights.
They're not great, are they?
No, I'm knocking the game down to easy whenever there's a boss fight coming up, dealing with that, then knocking it back up to hard mode just to get past the boss fight. Fine. It's working out for us. I'm liking some of the characters less and less. Echo 216, I'm not really enjoying him that much the further I get into the game. But other than that, it's still great. That grappling hook is still the only upgrade I've ever needed.
Fantastic.
Like, I've got, obviously, because I'm going through the story, I've got all the extra gadgets unlocked, and I have not put a single point into them because they are useless.
I think the one where you can the detection one can be quite handy at times.
Oh yeah. That can be
the shield wall and the dash one fucking pointless, but the one where you can detect enemies.
I was going to say
that's pretty good.
Started playing through it again on Legendary because I'm silly like that. The gadgets come into their own on those levels. You need that wall upgraded as soon as you can. You need the evade.
Yeah. Right. Maybe because I played it normal.
Just get one-shotted otherwise.
Fair enough. Well, yeah. So
wanted to flex.
Still enjoying it. Yeah. Flex away. I won't be going back through it again on Legendary. Well, I mean, I might when the co-op comes out. Yeah, when the co-op comes out, we'll do it on Legendary.
I am crossing my everything that's it's going to be typical 4-player Halo co-op because it's going to
be messy chaos.
Because it'll be fucking incredible 4 people grappling hooks and 4 scorpions or 4 warthogs full of your team with rocket launchers on. Oh, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. What was the other? I tried starting Sand, which is the next saga from Hugh Howey after he'd finished Silo, and I couldn't get past the 3rd chapter. It just did not grab me in the slightest.
Oh, no.
It's funny you should say that because I started listening to one of his short stories, and bear in mind it's about half an hour long, and I didn't finish listening to it.
Yeah, I wonder if like lightning struck with him with wool, and like that world was what sold it. Because Sand just, it just didn't grab me. Yeah, I gave it 3 chapters. I'm at that point where I've got that many books in the house. It's just like, if it doesn't grab me within the first 3 or 4 chapters, I'm just binning it. You know,
I carried on.
I've got that much more.
I did carry on with Shift. Like I said in our Discord, I was having a bit of trouble with all the politics side of it, and some of the characters I just wasn't really clicking with. I'm at that point where the kind of
everything comes together.
Meets up and comes together. So now it's getting making a bit more sense.
It's a bit pacier.
Yeah.
But yes, the big thing, the absolute big thing, the thing I've been waiting 3 fucking years for.
Whip your big thing out.
Elden Ring arrived.
Oh, yes.
New game from FromSoft. And it's good. Oh, God, it's good. It's eye-wateringly beautiful. I did a manly tear the first time I walked out to Limgrave. It's just wonderful. Get case point, I've got two versions of it running. I've got the PC version, which I'm streaming, and the PS5 version downstairs just for fun. And I'm about 4 hours into each of them. No, about 7 hours into the one downstairs. And I've barely scratched the surface of what the game can offer, but it's already my game of the year. Like, this is not even a recency bias thing. This is just, it is the culmination of everything From Software have done with the Souls series. It's got bits and pieces of every single one of those games in it, and it's so good. Everything is so responsive. The world is beautiful and terrifying and desolate, but amazing. So I'm not even going to try and talk about the story because I know fuck all of the story. Because, like I said, I'm not far enough in to have had more than 2 cutscenes, you know. But you know, you wake up. As with every Souls game, you are dead. You wake up in this place. You've no idea where you are. You walk out and you get killed by a big spider thing with thousands of swords on it.
I bet you like
and then
that.
you wake up. You wake up further dead somewhere else with some kind of weird ghosty girl going, "Oh yes, he's the perfect one. You've chosen correctly, Torrent." As talking to a ghostly horse, because that's the level we're talking about here. And then you wake up, you do your little tutorial dungeon, you go out into Limgrave, and you open this door into Limgrave, and you walk out, and the first thing that you see is like a 500-foot tall golden glowing tree.
That's good.
You're like, yeah, I'm into this. Unlike the previous Souls games, it's completely open world, and by not like the Dark Souls 1 kind of open world where kind of it's linear levels, the concertina around each other. No, huge vast plains of land that you get to explore, brimming with enemies that are patrolling around. Some that absolutely want to murder you from the start. Like the first enemy you will find when you walk out into Limgrave.
Why is that boss so
the tree
hard?
Sentinel.
Why is he so hard?
I mean, I'm level 20 and I'm still struggling with him. He's a big fucking guy on a horse with a halberd who hits you like a train. In fact, one of his moves is to get the horse to sidestep into you with his shield bash.
Massive. I tried to take him on. I was like, no, I'm just going to go walk around him.
I tried taking him on with two summons yesterday, and we got smashed in seconds.
Yep.
The guy is really fucking difficult. But yeah, it's the pure refinement of everything that Hidetaka Miyazaki has done. The combat is as good as it was in Dark Souls 3. It's taken from Sekiro that you can jump and there's now verticality to levels and it makes exploration. You've got stealth. You can sneak up on nerds and stab them in the arse if you want to, which is great. You can run away from boss fights now in the overworld. You know, if you try to take on the Tree Sentinel and he's whooping your arse, you can just, if you get far enough away from him, he'll de-aggro and go back to his patrolling pattern, you know? You will find the most surprise. I was walking under a bridge at one point. I was just kind of having a little bimble about and looking around. And all of a sudden I hear a bit of a rumble, turn around, and this giant on fire machine god thing climbed out of the ground. So me, naturally, shit myself and then decided to try and fight him. I died.
Yep.
But yeah, naturally. Was not the right level for him.
You don't know until you try.
Well, you don't know until you try. Well, that's the thing as well. Like some of the bosses you walk into, like so the world is littered with these caves or mines or stuff like that. Just all these kind of individual little dungeons you can kind of wander into underground. Some of the bosses in them are frighteningly difficult. Some of the bosses in them, I walk in there and it's done in 5 hits. When I was streaming the other day, I remember because Candy was watching because she loved this boss because it was like a kind of robotic cat-looking thing wearing a neckerchief with a tail that was on fire.
Oh, I loved him.
A shawl. And I walloped him in about 2 minutes flat. The boss that I did previously to that was this kind of giant stone golem thing which flattened me in 2 seconds flat. It's all about adaptation. But as with the kind of the classic Dark Souls games, thousands of weapons, thousands of options. You can, whereas Dark Souls 3 had weapon arts, where certain weapons or skills you would get special moves out of them. You can now swap them between them. So currently on my melee build on the PlayStation, I've got a Blood Strike, which is one of Lady Maria's attacks from Bloodborne, which it takes a little bit of health off you, and it gives you a massive supercharged swipe with this wonderful bloody flourish. It's absolutely anime as fuck. It's gorgeous. I can't talk this game up enough. I adore it. It's like I'm not playing. When I'm not on the PlayStation, I'm thinking about the game. It's one of those games.
Awesome.
Are you enjoying it, Stig? Because I know
Do you want to know what I think?
Mm.
So this is my second ever Souls game / Bloodborne. My first attempt was Bloodborne. I knew nothing about it. I'd never even heard of Dark Souls when I bought Bloodborne. I just saw a forum I was on bigging it up as being an amazing game. Like, get it out. Everyone's going to love Bloodborne, get it, blah, blah, blah. So I picked it up, and I almost quit after the first corner in the game. Because I couldn't get past the first guy. I was like, what is this game? This game, I think, is a lot more accessible than that. I felt like that. I haven't... The first, even the tutorial, I got through that really easy. They were quite easy. Even the first boss, I think I did die twice, but I'm not used to getting onto it. But it only took me 3 goes to kill him, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah,
but by first boss, which one do you mean?
In the tutorial,
open world. Oh, the Soldier of God.
Yeah, the big soldier guy. It just ran at me and like wiped me out, and I was like, oh, so yeah. But again,
he's carrying a big fucking sword.
Yeah, it's all about I've defeated him and a couple of other bosses, and it's mainly like just learning their patterns and learning. Right, okay, when he does that, he swings 4 times. So once he's done his 4th swing, that's when you can go and attack him. It's just that kind of knowing when to do it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I really would have loved to have played more of it today, but I've had other things on, and again, I'm thinking, itching about getting back into it. I keep thinking, I'll go to that area, and the world's so big that I haven't really progressed the main story at all. I've done like the first 2 bits where you get Torrent, and after that I fucked off the other direction.
Yeah,
I just started following the road and started going south.
I have a question.
Ended up at...
So if it's now open world, I assume hopefully there's some form of a map, because that's what's severely lacking in Dark Souls.
Oh yeah.
There literally is a map, but you have to find the pieces of the map.
Yeah.
So if you haven't found the pieces of the map in the location that you're in, it'll mark down where your bonfires are. They're called sites of graceness, but it's effectively bonfires. It'll mark where your bonfire is, but you'll only know what that means in relation to everything else. You won't see the roads or anything like that, or any features. Once you find the map, then you get like the full view of it. And they're not hard to find. You've got to look for this little obelisk which has the map on, which holds the map. But yeah, it does. And it's actually a really beautiful map. Like, I would like a copy of that map on my wall.
Yeah, it's really nice. I found it really helpful as well, because I've gone into a few catacombs and caves and got battered. I'm like, I'm not leveling up. So I've put it on the map and just, put my marker on there, so I know that's one I can go back to when I've leveled up. And I've enjoyed doing it, and just like the trial and error, I haven't found too frustrating. There's been some really cool moments as well. I took down a big, huge troll. That was quite nice.
The trolls are fun to take down, aren't they?
I went down to the beach, did a few things down there. It was doing all right, and then all of a sudden, I'm just wandering on the beach, like killing everything that's in my wake, and then got right to the end, and I got to these like zombie-style creatures. They're quite big, they look quite tall, and they just killed me like that, like straight away. I was like, oh. The problem is, you've got loads of your... Yeah, they're not called souls in this, are they? They're something else. I can't remember what they're called. Runes, yeah. But you're just like, fuck's sake, I've got like 3,000 runes down there. I'm going to have to run all the way back down there. But,
yeah, that's what I've noticed with it being so open world. And in some places, there can be a lot of distance between sites of grace. Mm-hmm. Like Eastern Limgrave, there is only 2. There's 3 sites of grace there, and none towards the south end of the map. So if you die down there, it's a huge run back.
You do get a statue, though, don't you? A statue of
Marika,
yeah.
So statue of Marika, yes, that gives you a continue point, but that's only when there is a definite combat encounter. Like, I died in East Limgrave to a fucking bear. This giant fucking bear that was it was scratching at a tree. I rode past on my horse, and he just swiped me and one-shot me. But yeah, so that was a long run back, and then a very dodgy because I had 10,000 runes on me at that point. So it was a very tense stealth section to
really
get
helps with that. Because
Torrent's great.
Because I died somewhere in the south trying to get...
Torrent's a ghost horse, incidentally, for people listening.
Trying to get into this castle, and I died, and it reset me all the way back, like in the main area. And I was like, why has it done that? Like, not put me to the statue? Mm-hmm. But you can get back there in a couple of minutes with the horse, so that wasn't too bad. But I like the it seems to balance the difficulty against things. Like, you will come against things that are absolutely huge trolls, and in front of the castle I've gone to, this is just it's absolutely massive guy with this huge bow and arrow shooting like javelins at you, like massive, huge, like arrows at you.
I'm curious as to where you are. Oh, hang on. So did you go up through Stormhill and you get like it's a twisty road?
Yeah, I went
and
over
you've got, like
a bridge.
load of barricades. Went over a bridge.
Like I saw. Basically, I went.
Oh yes, I know. It's the very south
It's
of
like
the
two
map.
odd farmers trying to give directions.
If you want to meet your death, it's down that road.
But I took him down
If you've
really
met
easily.
your boy with the javelins, you've gone too far. You need to head back.
The thing is, there are two castles on that road which have that, and there's one at the north end of it, one at the south end of it. I'm trying to work out where he is.
But I took that guy down. Piece of piss.
Mm-hmm.
Went into the castle and just got killed by a zombie dog like that. Like it just ravaged me, and like it was so fast and quick. I was like, "Fuck's sake!" So I've taken this thing down that's about 30 foot tall, and yet I can't beat this fucking ghost like this zombie dog. I quite like that. Like it keeps you on your toes, and you go back into the area. Obviously, with these games, stuff just regenerates, doesn't it, when you die? So all your bosses come back.
It's every time you rest at a site of grace, well, anything you've killed respawns, apart from bosses.
But it's a lot of trial and error, and you kind of go, right, I could go in there now, and I'll arrow them, rather than try and attack them. I'll take them from a distance, and I really want to get back into it and play it. I think I'm going to really put a lot of time into this. So
sorry for interrupting,
happy that I dived in on it.
A bit curious, what classes did you both go for?
So on the build that I'm streaming, I went for the astrologer class, which is kind of like a mix of swords and magic. For the one I'm playing on the PlayStation, it's just a straight melee build. I'm just literally going for a massive strength build. I just want to walk through the countryside, murdering everything.
So I went with samurai because I was trying to find something. Being that this is only my second time into these games, I tried to find something I thought might be a bit leveled out throughout, and I think astrologer. There's another one, I can't remember what it's called now.
Because I'd imagine with the open world element, enemies in the distance, you want something ranged in your back pocket.
That's why I went samurai, so I could use bow and arrow and like crossbows and stuff. Like it's like that, or the astrologer obviously offers you ranged magic as well.
Yeah.
But I just went samurai because samurais are cool. He looks cool, and he
does look cool. He's got a really cool armor set.
Yeah. But I've picked up weapons that I can't really use. You can equip, equip them, but he struggles to use them, and
so
it's so slow when you roll. You basically roll like a rock.
Yeah, there are. I'll tell you some stuff later that'll help with all that kind of thing. But I love it so much. It's just it is going to be my game of the year. And to be honest, I will be hard pressed to find. Well, I'll be very impressed if someone can beat this just for overall quality. It's got some tech issues on the PC. It runs like a bag of spanners because the frame rate is a suggestion at times. On the PlayStation 5, it's pretty solid. Actually, there's only been a couple of times I've noticed any technical issues, and even then, it's just the odd frame stuttering. Which I played Bloodborne on a base PS4. Yeah. I mean, if I can do that, I can do this.
Are they saying you're better off playing a PS4 version on the PS5 of this?
That's the only way you get 60 frames at lower resolution. Digital Foundry did quite a coverage of it.
Yeah, you get 60 frames at 1080p, where now I'm getting 50 to 60 frames at 4K, so I'm fine with it.
And poor Stig's got the worst of that on his Xbox.
No, Xbox is fine. Xbox, nice big TV, looks great, runs fine, I have no issues.
I'm just looking forward to the bit that breaks.
Other than me just being
I can't
useless.
wait to hear about that.
I really
the bit that breaks you.
I had a couple of funny deaths that were just my own doing. One where I posted in our Discord was I was in a mine and I forgot to lower. I died and I was like, right, I can't do this. It's too hard. So I turned around instantly to go on the lift, but I hadn't called the lift down, so I just fell down straight away. And the other one was I was stood on the edge of a cliff looking around. I was like, oh, this looks nice. And I just walked forward and just fell. But I fell directly in front of a cave. I was like, oh, I'm going to explore that. So I went into the cave and played it out. So yeah,
I had a really, really fucking annoying death today because I've done one story boss, which is the one that was in the network test at Stormvale Castle, Margaret or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was having a good run at trying to kill him today, and realized I was slightly underleveled for it, so I was summoning some help, just to help with the first phase of him, because the thing is he's got a massive health pool. It takes ages to get him down, and that was with my just pure melee character. And I had him on the ropes. I had him down to like 50 hit points. One more swipe would have done it, and he combos me down, knocks me over, and then hits me, and the knockback throws me off the side of the cliff.
oh, brutal.
The controller nearly went through the fucking telly, I can tell you that much. But I got him on the next go. Around. But it's such an amazing game, and it's just like visually, like it fucks with the player in some really fun ways. I'm not going to give too many of them away, but there are ways you can end up zapped around the map, and that happened to me on stream. I got zapped somewhere else in the map, in a cave that I was wildly underleveled for, with no idea where I was, which way was out, and with enemies I had no ability to kill. That was fun. It took me 40 minutes and about 10 deaths to get out of there. It was literally, get out of the room I'm in, kill one guy that was in front of me who was always killing me, and then it was just like, right, where can I see a door out of here? I seen two doors. I picked one. I picked the one to the left. That was wrong. That took me to the boss. So eventually took the one to the right, sprinted, found a place of grace, and then I was just like, noped out of there. Got straight the fuck out of there.
When you say Zach,
But it's on me map to go back to
Why
later.
did you get sent there?
It was a trap. A teleporter trap.
Yeah.
That happened to me in Bloodborne.
They're in that. Yeah, well, yeah, because you got caught by the the person catcher thing.
Yeah, all of a sudden I was doing something, and then all of a sudden I got knocked out, and I woke up in a jail. I was like, this is nowhere where I was. I have no idea where I am. Like, this is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but that's kind of the situation that happened here, and it was I got sent away. Also, this game does have a Siegmeyer analog, and he's amazing. Everyone loved Onion Bro, and everyone's going to love Pop Bro.
Oh,
He
okay.
is just fucking cool.
I know who Onion Bro is, despite not playing that game.
Yeah. Because he's a meme, and he's incredible. And he's just... the version in Elden Ring is just even better. He's fucking lovely. But yeah, so obviously I will talk about Elden Ring more over the coming weeks, not in this much detail, and I'll do like the full review when I eventually finish it, although by all accounts this is like an 80 to 100 hour long game, which I'm there for. Like, I'm quite happy to explore everything. I'm in no hurry to finish this game. Like, I want to look in every nook and cranny. I want to find everything that's to do in this game, because it's just incredible so far. So yeah, I'll be talking more about this in the future.
Awesome. Right, that's us. That's what we've been up to. So Biggie, tell us what we're going to be talking about this week.
Oh, fuck.
Punk, tell us what we're going to be talking about this week, considering
It's the guest is here to talk about what we're doing this week. What are we doing, Punk? Yeah, Punk.
Well, fuck off, cunt. Putting me on the spot. Well, I want to peel back the years. Go back to the toddlers that still remain in our hearts. What did we want to be when we grew up? When we got bigger, hairier, not much smarter?
Sexier.
Some of us. Candy's gorgeous.
Oh, and hairier.
Not that much of a webcam, but yes. Who wants to begin? Who wants to let me know what they wanted to be when they were all grown up?
Well, we'll start. We'll go the same order. We'll start with Candy. You can tell us about one thing, two things, three things, whatever. If you've got a few things, that's fine.
Well, you really chose the wrong person to start with, because I'm that cunt that is kind of doing what I wanted to do. Like, I always sort of wanted to be an artist, and it kind of veered a little bit. There was one time where I wanted to be a sculptist, but I think it's because I learned what the word was, like sculpture. Yes, I want to be a sculptor. But yeah, no, just sort of general artist, really. I did go through a phase of wanting to be a pathologist, and that lasted for about 3 to 6 months, and that was because I became slightly obsessed with the X-Files. So I wanted to become Dana Scully for about 6 months, and then I discovered what a pathologist actually is. I was like, oh, I do not want to do that. Plus, I'm shit at maths and science as well, so that didn't really pan out for me. But yeah, I suppose when I did always want to make computer games, and that's something that I haven't managed to do as yet, but it's something that I'm working on. It's difficult when you're an artist because you can kind of, I think most people can more or less put your hand to anything. I mean, if you've got an eye for design, you can be a graphic designer, you can be a web designer if you're a bit more technological. In my case, I'm a tattooist, and I don't really know how exactly that happened or at what point in my life I decided I wanted to do that, because I went to college to do video game design. And at that point, and it was slightly before, I was probably maybe 5 years too early to really give that a good go at uni, because video game design courses were few and far between, and the ones that were available weren't particularly good. So what I did was multimedia. So we did a little bit of everything, including 3D design. And the trouble with 3D design was that, and not to slag off my teachers, but 2 hours a week in a group of 20 is not enough to learn 3D design to a point where you can actually go into a job. Whereas now I'm doing it off my own back. I'm actually like just doing it through YouTube and through various websites and this, that, and the other. And it's so accessible and so cheap. Why would anyone want to go to uni to do that kind of thing? Like, for example, like any kind of artist, like you don't need any kind of qualification. I don't have any qualifications to be a tattooist. You don't need any. You do an apprenticeship and you learn the basics of hygiene. But there's not somebody that comes in and tests your capability. You know, art's subjective. So it's not like, right, tattoo a horse and we'll judge you on how good it is, because what's good for one person is not good for another. And they can test you on hygiene and stuff, and they do, although they don't as much as they should. But yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to say to what I actually wanted to do. But I still, when I grow up, finally, I do still want to design computer games, as I was saying. But I'm sort of at the point now where I'm like, by the time I'm competent enough with 3D to maybe put myself forward for some small jobs, I'm going to be at an age where they possibly don't want to employ me as a junior. But at the same time, being an artist, you can kind of, I would find it really difficult to work at a company. So I tattoo all week. There's nothing to stop me doing some bits of 3D design here, there, and everywhere for people, like for jobs that I want to do, not because I'm relying on it. There's a lot of 3D design that's like, well, I want you to design me a shed. Design me what my shed will look like in 3D. And no, I don't want to do that. But what I do want to do is assets for games and stuff. And I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can, or I could, pick and choose what kind of work I would want to do. So yeah, I'm really, really lucky.
Have you,
and I don't know
with dreams?
I haven't. Well, do you know what? I've got it downloaded,
Really should look at that, 'cause I've seen
actually
some of the work.
I've heard it's really, really powerful. And yeah, what I actually did find out is you're better off downloading it on a PS4 and playing it on a PS4 rather than playing the PS4 version on a PS5, because apparently it's a bit janky. But yeah, lots of people did suggest that to me, and a friend of mine and I are actually in the very, very, very early stages of potentially making a game or two. And we did look at the potential of Dreams as a way to quickly build something and see if it's going to work before putting all of our time into doing it in Unreal or Unity or something like that. And what a lot of people don't know is actually Unreal is free to use unless you make, I think it's something over $1 million, whether I think it's probably dollars. They don't charge you to build games on it. And when they do, they charge you 5% of your income, which to a company like Bethesda, you don't want to be giving them 5% of what Skyrim is worth. However, if you're an indie developer, absolutely perfect. Blender 3D, which is what I'm learning 3D on, it's also a 3D, it's also a free bit of software. So I'm learning on that, and it's not necessarily industry standard yet, but it's near as damn it. And a lot of companies are actually moving towards using Blender as a genuine, like a industry standard program. But at the same time, it can teach you the skills that you can then take over to 3ds Max or Maya. And, once you've learnt to make your own assets, then you can import them into Unity or to Unreal and start programming it and putting together a game. And it's really exciting. Like just the amount of stuff that's available to teach you if you've got the absolute basics of equipment. You don't need a really, really good... it's nice to have a good PC because things will render quickly, but you don't need it. And there's just an absolute wealth of information out there to get started and to get learning. And whatever level, just don't be sort of intimidated by things like that, because once you get the basics, it's not as bad as you might think. So I've gone a little bit of a tangent. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, as I said, I'm fine. Kind of lucky,
that's
really.
exactly the sort of thing I was hoping to hear.
Yeah.
Because I always go back to Eric Broney, the guy that made Stardew Valley. He couldn't get a fucking job in the industry, and that ended up being a project where he practiced graphic design, soundtrack, and ended up, that's one of my favourite fucking games. And
I think, was it Hollow Knight is made by 3 people, I think Untitled Goose Game is made by 4 people.
2-person team, and then they brought somebody in. There was a lovely recent Cane and Rinse, which I paid all my attention to.
Yeah, they brought in the guy who did the music after they did the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter raised something like 50 grand or something like that, and they used that as salary for him.
Memory from my drive. It lets you know once you've uploaded a file from a year back, and the file is after I found all the grubs in Hollow Knight. I was like, I didn't fucking need that.
No,
nobody did.
It was fucking you guys. You were the one that told me to go back.
I know. Come on, because I had witnessed it and I needed to share the pain.
I was so happy.
Did you say that guy's name was Brony?
Eric Baroni, yeah.
I'm a Brony, Dad. It's not a phase.
I think it's Bironi.
Brony. It's Brony.
Okay. No, it's Brony now.
Oh, is it? No.
I forgot about bronies until this moment.
I was just concerned.
Everyone needs to forget about bronies.
I had to edit out his name from the Harvest Moon episode where I talked to myself because I pronounced it Barone for some reason. Even though I did all my own research and made my own notes.
You are talking to yourself.
Yeah, that's not the worst thing I've done.
Can't even blame it on the guest.
He's a cunt. Squeaky bitch.
I'm just trying to think, as an aside, what I would do if I didn't do something artistic. And I think it would probably be something, maybe potentially journalism. Although I used to be a lot better at English than I am now. These days, words just disappear from my vocabulary. Like, it'll be there and I'll start talking and it's just gone. So probably...
I know, we've heard you doing the socials.
Oh, I do that all the time. It's honestly... Do you know what? Getting older... Everyone moans how bad getting older is. It's so much worse than they moan about. Oh, God. It's horrible.
Things ache and you forget things.
That you don't know can ache. I
was just going to say, going back to the dreams thing, is that there's apparently a very good tutorial on YouTube to show people how to get going and what's achievable. And there's loads of demos on there. And there's some, okay games for people that clearly have had a tinker. And there's some incredible stuff that people have done who obviously know what they're doing and are pushing the boundaries of what, I guess, media molecules have done. It's incredible. And I think
it's a really powerful tool, actually. Yeah, for something that's technically like a game, it's a really powerful tool. I watched, and I think it's probably just like, as an example, it wouldn't be the full game, but somebody had recreated Death Stranding pretty accurately from what I saw. Using assets that are probably pre-built, I guess, into Dreams. I don't know exactly how it works in terms of sort of using assets and stuff, but yeah, it was pretty impressive. Yeah, Dreams in general is pretty impressive.
My mind boggles at how someone can make something on a PlayStation. Shoot it with a PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
It's like you aren't sat there coding anything or using a mouse to move things. You're making this thing on a PlayStation with a PS controller. It's crazy.
It's really impressive. But there's just such creative people out there as well, and it's just finding that niche that hasn't been already found. And there's a lot of indie games out there that just absolute hidden gems as well. I started playing is it Maquette? I think it was one of the free ones a year or so ago. And I think it's just this indie game, and it's incredible. It's really fun, and I would have never heard of it had it not been one of the free downloads. And that's I think that's probably PS5 only. But that's fun. If you get a chance to play it, play Maquette.
Just love the indie scene altogether.
Didn't somebody recreate the T-Rex scene from Jurassic Park in Dreams?
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's been all sorts
Somebody
of
recreated
people have done some wild things in Dreams.
And it looks really, really good. It's crazy how good it looks.
It's having that time to invest in getting used to how it works and then, like you say, sticking at it. You know?
Great. Well, thanks for that, Candy. We'll move on to DeadbeatpunK. Tell us what you want to be when you were older.
See, I only really had one, too, and I kind of spoiled it. I included it with the question, but I wanted to be...
It's okay, we never read it out, so...
You did.
Did we?
You did. Somebody listens to the show. I wanted to be an adventurer.
I can't remember what we talk about.
And you implied that he doesn't want to be an adventurer. He wants to be a fucking pirate, which was lovely. Stig.
I'm sure given the opportunity to be a sky pirate, you would be.
Oh, definitely would be. But I was going to make the joke about you can't spell pirate without IRA, but we'll sidestep that one.
Yeah, let's sidestep that one.
People have probably forgotten anyway. Tell us why you want to be an adventurer.
Yeah, well, I loved those books growing up. I loved the idea of jumping on a ship, especially when you weren't allowed to be on one, joining the crew, working your way up, becoming trusted, pretty much, yeah. And, fighting mad caves, lost treasure, bringing it back home, everybody thinking you're a great lad, pints possibly afterwards. And then I was ridiculously old when I realised that adventure was an actual occupation. So
did that ever make you want to look at something like being an archaeologist or anything like that?
Oh, the boring fucks did fuck all but dig and dust and fuck. And half of them were English. That's why
Indiana Jones wasn't.
He was barely an archaeologist, though. He went and shot shit.
Stuff, actually, didn't he?
That's what Punk wanted to do. You could have been an archaeologist.
Wouldn't let you have a whip.
You could have gone to a site. You could have gone to a dig site and go, right, I'm off to go do my own thing now. Just started like whipping and shooting people.
Knew he wanted to be a pirate. So another option was the army, because they travel the world and go on adventures. And it's like, no, because they go around and shoot innocent Middle Eastern people. I was like, I don't want to do that. Again, half of them are fucking English. So
you see a theme here.
Things weren't great. We pattern forming here. So yeah, I left school with qualifications under my belt, and it was just a big fuck. What do I do now? So I went to the technical college because it was like the stepping stone between school and dole. I was just, what do you do? Multimedia, which I got kicked out of for some reason.
Well, if anyone's heard your episodes on shock sites, that's probably why.
Possibly. That was the second time. Never give people a second chance. They always fucking ruin it. So, yeah, I went from call centers to bars to restaurants. I ended up working in medicine. Somehow, the police background check isn't that great. So, yeah. Ended up actually getting quite far, becoming a nurse. And then I gave that up and came home to sell chicken nuggets. So I'm living my fucking dream. I am Ronald. DeadbeatpunK's a nickname.
Nugget.
Yeah, I mean,
profile.
Punky nuggets. Yeah, I ended up coming home, comfortable job, with enough free time to do the stupid shit that I enjoy. Video games, movies, reading far too much, recording shows where I talk to myself. So I really can't complain, but I would love for, adventurers to stand up again and go, yes, we will explore the world together. I'm sure there's enough of us to build our own ship.
You just want that Nathan Drake lifestyle of like sitting on a beach conspiring to find some treasure somewhere.
No.
And then getting shot down over an island or something.
The Drakes are awful. They're the worst adventurers I've ever seen.
And they like murderers.
Yeah, they like to shoot defenseless people too.
True, yeah.
Oh, we've just...
It's all very colonial.
Air landed into the middle of your holy sites in your stranded village. And, you start shouting at us, so we shoot you. I say, I can't get on with that.
I think there's probably a lot of boring parts of adventuring that aren't really covered in the things that you see in media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like
traveling in shit vehicles.
Yeah, 10, 12-hour flights in economy with all your adventuring gear, people giving you looks. Oh, why is he wearing that hat? Why has he got a whip?
How did he get in the plane with a whip?
It's looking
Indiana
at
Jones looking tit.
Yeah, there's a lot of rose tinted glasses, I think, when it comes to adventuring. I think it's an adventure every time I go to Asda.
They outweigh the lows so much. Like sitting on economy class with little tins of Stella probably on a plane, but I've got a gold skull in my hand.
Yeah, but then you're going to get taxed on it.
Pardon?
Then you're going to have to try and sneak through the nothing to declare corridor that you have to go through. And you're sweating because you did have something
got anything to declare. Yes, the gold skull of death.
So it's my grandmother's urn. So
it's my grandmother's skull.
And then you have to drive back from the airport to whatever university you're working at, probably. Or who's going to pick you up? Your adventuring subordinate?
My track record with universities doesn't.
Imagine at customs, they're like, "What you got in there?" It's an arc. Oh, can I have a look? Yeah, help yourself.
Sunglasses on.
I'm just going to look the other way.
Check out his arc.
Yeah, but there was not to spoil future Fast and Furious episodes for you guys.
Oh, are they still happening?
Oh, I don't know. You have to ask these two.
Yeah. Resisting as long as I can.
It will go ahead.
But there was a point, I think, on a
fucking 3 Elden Ring streams in one day, and
yeah. But they just talked about how they globe trot so much, and yet the films never show that they're going from place to place. It takes like 10 to 12 hours to get there.
And yet
everything is so urgent and it needs to happen now. And yet here's Dom and his crew probably just sat on a BA flight like that. What film are you watching? Oh, I'm watching the newest Marvel film.
But a 12-hour flight and with my fucking penchant for handheld consoles, delightful.
So if
Brilliant.
Indiana Jones, if he was named after the dog, what would your moniker be?
Oh, you've put me on the spot. The Deadbeat Dungeon Crawler.
That sounds a bit kinky.
Everything I say sounds a bit kinky.
After the dog, if I was named after the dog I'd be called Lucy. Or Rossi. I'll go with Rossi. That's a bit better. Oh, right. I'll go next. So one of the first jobs I wanted to do, I don't really have any idea why I wanted to do this job. I always like to go there for some reason. I wanted to be a dentist.
You like to go to the dentist?
I liked to go to the dentist when I was younger. I don't know why. I mean, I never went there and had like I was never getting my mouth drilled or anything like that. I just liked to go to the dentist. It was a pleasant experience. I guess I used to have a really good dentist. I had him for years and years and years until he went private. And but yeah, he was just a really nice guy, and I always had good checkups, and after it, you always got a sticker, and sometimes you even get a lolly, which seems really weird for a dentist to give people. Your teeth are really good. Have some sugar. You know what I mean? So
they want a repeat customer. That's why.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why. I was younger. I wanted to be a dentist. And
it was kind of sound like Candy's thing, where she found a way to inflict pain on people and get paid for it, and thanked at the end of it.
I don't always get thanked.
Tattoo artist's a sadist.
So fucking dentist.
Yeah. I'd
Dentists more so, I think. At least with a tattoo, you get a tattoo out of it. A dentist, you just get a big old filling in a bill.
Yeah, but you're helping people like with pain. Like you go to a tattoo for a tattoo, you go in there by choice to feel the pain. If you got a problem with your mouth, and a dentist is helping. But yeah, I honestly I couldn't tell you why or what my reasoning was. But obviously, it became apparent as the more I went through school that I was not clever enough to do that kind of work.
That's bollocks. I don't believe that.
No, you don't believe it. My later teens, I wanted to be a fireman, despite what I said on the Patreon episode this week. You'll hear about Punk when it. This is a bit of a weird time lapse because we're recording this before the Patreon episode comes out, so Punk won't have heard it yet. But everyone who's listening to this will have hopefully have heard that. But yeah, I wanted to be a fireman. I tried a couple of times to get on the fire service and failed. Unfortunately, the first time No, it's
afraid of ladders.
They're really difficult to get on, like because of all the initial questionnaires and everything you do.
So even if you wear glasses, you can't become a firefighter. At least that's the case over here. Yeah,
there's loads of different rules and regulations for like your build and like say like your eyesight and things. Mm-hmm. I did the initial. When I was 19, I did the initial the application, and I passed the application. I got a letter saying you've passed the application. Unfortunately, this was a year after the recession had hit, and they had 3,500 applicants for 12 positions.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, because obviously a lot of people had lost their jobs, and it was like, oh, there is a firefighter job going. So unfortunately didn't do that. And then the next time I applied was mid-20s or something, mid to late 20s, and I did again pass the initial stage, but I don't know, didn't go any further than that, unfortunately. They do different tests. They do all these online cognitive tests. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
And, is this a fire?
Yeah, I did the first one, fine, and the second one, it's all these like really difficult. You timed on it, and it's all these questions like, if this car's coming this way at this direction at this time, and this car's coming that way, but the mud road slows them down by this, at what point will they meet? And I'm reading this going, what the fuck does this have to do with being a fireman? But that's the questions, and unfortunately I failed. So I've given up on that. I'm 36 this year, and I have a family and a house, and going back down to 17 to 19,000 pounds a year isn't realistic at this point. So unfortunately, the dream of becoming a fireman and helping people is dead. As is the main job that I wanted to do when I was a young kid. So before I started buying steel, I wanted to hit people with a steel chair. Because I wanted to be a wrestler. Of course I wanted to be a wrestler, because I'm a fucking cliche.
You can't be a wrestler because you're made of crisps.
And that's the biggest problem.
How does he always somehow crowbar wrestling into an episode? He does it every time.
Because it actually works this time, because I actually wanted to be a wrestler.
Imagine if somebody gave you the people's elbow, you would have just exploded.
I had a name, I had a gimmick, I had everything set out. So did my brother. So my name...
Big Stig.
No, it was going to be... There was a wrestler in the 90s called Psycho Sid. And he used to spell Psycho, S-Y-C-H-O. It was like, it wasn't spelt right, but it was because it was SS Psycho Sid. Made sense. So I was going to be Psycho. Yeah, it wasn't like SS like that. Just that it was Psycho Sid, and I was going to be Psycho Stu Baker. this little psychopath brawler, and my brother was going to be Matt the mercenary baker.
I'm gonna bake you up some pain.
Yeah, and we had gimmicks and everything set out, and we at one point I was about 19, 20, and there used to be a wrestling gym about 20 miles away, and I looked into it and I was going to do it, and yeah, but I just thought at the time, I'm only a wee little guy. I'm only 5'8". Most wrestlers are very tall, 5'11" plus, built like brick shit houses. And I was just kind of like, this just seems like a pointless journey. Do you know what I mean? Why? Like, I'd love to do it, but why spend my time? You know, at the time, WWF, WWE that was the big time. You know, there wasn't all these new other promotions out there. There's obviously a few indie stuff, but if you wanted to be the big time, it was WWE. There wasn't AEW or TNA or anything like that at the time. And I just thought, what's the point? It wasn't, you know, now I know, like, I get injured like fuck, so it would have been a stupid career move because bouncing around in that ring and bouncing off tables and smashing into things. Like, I can't go a rugby game without pulling a hamstring or breaking a bone. So doing a wrestling would have been stupid. But yeah, I just looked at it and thought, what's the point in spending all this time and money and whatnot when no one's ever going to look at someone my size and think, yeah, take a punt on him? Having said that, there are now wrestlers my age, my height, in the big time. You have Daniel Bryan / Bryan Danielson, who headlined WrestleMania. He's 1 inch taller than me. Do you know what I mean? So
I'd be a big believer that says the fight, not the says the man.
Yeah, so when I watched wrestling, it was all about height and build. These guys, a lot of people come through now, and it's not about the height and build. It's just, can you put on a good wrestling show? Can you be a good character? Can you entertain people? You know, Vince McMahon still has a hard-on for big muscular guys. He's rejigging to WWE and his development show again. No, he does. Like, the guy fucking loves a big, massive guy. He's obsessed with them. You had recently, in the last few years, we had NXT, which was WWE's development show, and Triple H was in charge of it, and he brought in a load of great talent. But there were shorter, thinner, skinnier indie guys, but they were really good wrestlers, and they're really, really good characters. Vince McMahon doesn't like that. So he shut all that down, and now it's a big focus on getting the ex-footballer types in, getting the big bodybuilder types in, because he thinks that's what people want to see. Basically what he wants to do is try and find the next Brock Lesnar, but he's like a 1 in a million kind of person.
No, Brock Lesnar's a freak of fucking
Exactly.
That man shouldn't exist.
Exactly. But that's what he wants to find. He wants to find the next Brock Lesnar, and he thinks that's what sells. And yeah, Brock Lesnar fucking sells, but you also do have people my size, my build, tearing it up and being massive worldwide names.
Even going back, like Rey Mysterio Jr., he was kind of small.
Yeah, well, he's smaller than me. He's 5'6".
He was 5'6".
Yeah, but he's, the type of stuff he's doing, it got him noticed. I mean, Eddie Guerrero was only 5'9", but steroids and everything will make you massive. And at one point, he was fucking huge before he weaned himself off it a bit. But yeah, it was a pipe dream that I think I talked myself out of it. And yeah, I would have loved to have done it. But in the grand scheme of things, what would be the point? I'd probably be one of those wrestlers that you heard about that died at 32 because I just munch painkillers every night.
Roid rage.
Because I'm always hurt.
Mr. Glass.
And yeah, exactly. I can't play a game of football or rugby without hurting myself. So doing wrestling shows, imagine me getting to the WWE and performing 300 nights a fucking year. I'd have been dead. Not a chance. So
Here he comes.
unfortunately,
Sternum Stig.
I'd have had a fucking wheelchair gimmick just rolling down, and just like every other week I'd be injured. My gimmick would be, what injury has he got this week?
Full body
Breaking your
cast.
cast over people's heads.
Yeah.
Getting battered by Stone Cold in a hospital bed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, unfortunately, that was a dream that I never would have been able to pursue or ever did. So, all sad. Cry, everyone.
No.
Cheered me up no end.
What about you, Biggie?
Oh boy, you ready for this?
Porn star.
So yeah, no.
I was just about to say porn star.
So yeah, I was born unfortunately half blind, half deaf. So that reduced a lot of things I wanted to do. I wanted to be good at football. I wanted to be a footballer like a lot of kids did if you're into that. But unfortunately, nature rolled that dice and gave me one final cruel trick. And I don't have football skills. Not quite shit. But no, I was quite good in the midfield and goal. I was okay. But I mean, there's a million people that are far more talented than me. So yeah, it was never going to happen. And then when I went to school, I ended up finding art. I got into art. And a very, very similar kind of trajectory that Candy went on, I guess in a way. I went to art college. I studied art and design. But the course that I did, which was in a place called Barnet College in North London, was quite a new course, I think, at the time. And in the first year, you dabbled in everything. So it was all kinds of things to do with art, graphic design. It was still life. It was textiles. It was basically everything. And then in the second year, you would choose a particular subject that you know, like if you wanted to do complete graphic design that second year, you'd just do that. So a few of us weren't sure what we wanted to do, so we were allowed to choose. So I chose still life and graphic design because I was interested in both. And then about halfway through the course, for budgetary reasons, they decided that they weren't going to pursue the option of doing two choices. You had to pick one. So then I ended up thinking, well, I better go and do graphic design. So I was kind of enjoying that more than still life. But I was behind what everybody else was doing in graphic design because they were a separate course and they were like 6 months in advance of what we were doing. So I barely made it out of graphic design. But one thing I discovered that I was good at was caricatures, bizarrely. And the person at the college happened to know a caricaturist and got me in touch with them and said, have a chat with this guy, you might be able to get set up with being a caricaturist. I started doing lots of caricatures for people that I knew. I started getting paid for it. I really enjoyed it. I just had a passion for artwork. And then I started seeing more caricatures. I started getting into that sort of community. Everything has a community. So there are communities of caricaturists. So you end up meeting them and really cool blokes of all different ages, all different styles. And then I suddenly realised that I was just your average caricaturist. And there were some people that were just so good. I mean, unbelievably good that I met. And I suddenly realised I wasn't going to make it at that either. I just wasn't, I was good, but not great. And I knew that it suddenly dawned on me that I wouldn't have a career as a caricaturist. So then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but my brother ended up working on cruise ships. So then I ended up going on a cruise ship, doing the same kind of life that he did. And I did it for 13 years. I got my wife out of it as well. It was, I travelled the world, never thought I would do that.
It's a standard thing when you've been working on a cruise ship for a while, they just marry you off to someone.
Bonus of the
yeah,
job.
you know, me and my wife and I, we worked together on a cruise ship, and a lot of romances, particularly on cruise ships, either crew and passengers, and you know, ended up meeting my wife, working with her, and we ended up working together for
Crew and passengers, surely that's frowned
which
upon.
one?
Crew and
Yes.
passengers.
But it does go on, believe me.
Of course it does. If you're
Believe
traveling
me. Believe me.
if you're on a cruise ship and there's a bunch of single people on there, and you have a night off, it's like, yeah, of course you're gonna try and crack onto it.
Oh, I forgot to mention I was a bartender on the cruise ship as well. So it my parents were publicans.
Giving the free drinks out to people.
I grew up in a pub, so then I just ended up somehow still being in that trade. Being a bartender on a cruise ship, and
Fate.
It was great. I only meant to do it for a couple of years and ended up doing it for 13. But yeah, very humbled to travel around the world and see what I did. But it was never a career choice. It's not what I wanted.
Fuck's sake, sounds like I should have went for that. You're more of an adventurer than I am.
Pissed around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically...
It does sound pretty good, actually, when you talk about like going on the boats and and the cruise ships. Like, yeah, just... Sorry.
You can get a boat on a ship.
Yeah,
you can't get a ship on a boat, you see.
Yeah, you know what I meant.
Ship, prick.
Going on the cruise ships sounds like really good fun, just being able to... You working, but you are travelling to places, and I presume... You do get time off and things, so you can go and visit these places.
I mean,
dock and stuff.
when I joined, which was in '95, you still had a really good mixture of what we were called Europeans. So there was a good mixture of English, Irish, Scottish. Then you started looking at Eastern Europeans, but there weren't that many when I first started. So the majority of crew were either all Europeans, and then you'd have a little pockets of Filipinos, Indians, Goans, Pakistanis. And as the years went on, the Europeans just slowly, we then became the minority, and you ended up having a lot more people were becoming were Filipinos, Indians were taking up the higher jobs, so it became very sort of, there was a lot of politics involved, there was a lot of favours going on and things like that, and it was just the way the systems have changed. And nowadays, I think if you wanted to go and do it now, I don't know how many cruise companies, depending on what job you want to do, would you better find a role on a ship to do? Because they're very strict these days. But back then, it was incredible. You had to work hard but partied hard. And you'd be away for 6 to 10 months, and you would pretty much be drunk most nights. Some nights more than others.
Fucking jealous.
Shagging your way through the guests.
And then you just have to make sure... You have to make sure
Of course,
that you just literally can get to work the next day. It was like that. And there's, a lot of people went to work with hangovers. Some people were obviously clearly still drunk when they went to work. If you could hide it, you get away with it. And some of the passengers absolutely adored it because they thought it was hysterical. And
the old wobbly floor.
Yeah, and as you say, when you go to ports, you go off for the afternoon or the day. You always have to go back to work in our department. Obviously, the bars are open in the evening as well as the day. So you'd have a skeleton staff on the ship, always in port, and then a lot of crew would go ashore depending on where you were. But you always had to go back to work in the evening. So you could go and see some of the places. I was fortunate because of 13 years. I went to see a lot of places. Some were repetitive cruises, but I managed to travel around the world. I've seen most of it. The most amazing thing that came out of it, apart from my wife, because I would have to say that, is that I saw
disclaimer.
I saw a lot of countries and really humbled me about where I live and how grateful I am. The sort of comforts that I have. It's really eye-opening going to see how countries operate and what happens there and things like that. And it's some are obviously more richer than others and stuff. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was a great way to travel. Like you say, get paid to do it. But it was party. It was a lot of fun. But then it just does get a bit boring. You live two separate lives. You have a life at home with your friends, family, etc. And then you have a different life on the cruise ship where you kind of have these really bonded, very close relationships with people because you're in and out of each other's lives day in, day out for 6 to 10 months at a time. And then you don't see them for a couple of months. And you kind of miss them when you go home on leave, sit with your family. But then you'll go to a party or a night out or something like that, and people will be talking about events that you weren't at because you were away. So it can be kind of very, what's the word I'm looking for?
FOMO.
Huh?
Kind of missed that FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, there's a bit of FOMO. There's a bit of sort of disconnect because you weren't there. So you've got these two separate lives, which is all very weird. And then you kind of get tired of it in the end. And people came and went. There's a lot of affairs that went on cruise ships. That was really funny. A lot of people that have lives at home and then separate lives on cruise ships and have a kind of like a husband and wife relationship on a ship, and then they separate and go home to their families and then go back again. It's all very odd. yeah, I just never thought I'd be doing it for as long as I did. And then when I came shoreside, I ended up going into pub management, which is exactly what my parents did. So this cyclical loop of kind of not ever doing what I ever achieved, and then ended up doing what my parents did. So it was all very odd. And now I work for healthcare, NHS. So yeah, who'd have thought? It's just definitely not the career I ever thought I'd be doing.
No. Do you still do your art?
You know what?
Oh,
I miss it. I used to have a real passion for it, and it was one of the reasons that I was when I saw some of the stuff that Candy was doing and her own artwork and stuff, and I was just thinking I should maybe really try and get back into that. So at some point when I do upgrade my laptop, I want to get some sort of software on there and start tinkering to see if I can get back into art. But when you've got the passion for it, it's there, it's amazing. I used to love taking my time and seeing the reaction from people when you give them the artwork. I was very proud of my work, but I don't have the passion for it at the time. I don't have time to play games. I want to play games, and I don't have time to draw, and I need to have that passion inside me to get drawing again. But yeah, I guess in a nutshell, I just always wanted to be an artist, and a graphic caricaturist, but never happened. And it's hard, when you see those people at seaside towns or abroad, and you see those caricaturists in the street, that skill of having someone sit in front of you for a period of time when they obviously want to go and do things as well. It's not like they're going to sit there for 5 hours. You literally half an hour or whatever it is to draw that and get them up and happy. It's a real skill to that. And I wasn't like that. I want to take 3 or 4 hours, really get into the artwork that I'm doing. And I would never have made a street artist because they'd be like, can I go now? I've got my parking,
It's really difficult when somebody's in front of you as well. Like rather than using a photograph or a picture for reference, like when somebody's actually sat there in front of you, like I always really struggle with live drawing and stuff, just because it's really hard to get like the sizes and everything right when it's there in front of you. You have to end up like sort of squinting with one eye open kind of thing.
No, I agree.
I would never be able
to
with
photographs.
Do sort of caricatures on
when I used to do my I worked with photographs, and I even did it on the cruise ships for a while. I did it for a passenger once when they heard that I did it, and they said, would you do one of my family? It was like mum and dad, 2 kids. I was like, yeah, no worries, just give me a decent photograph of you all or more if you've got it, and I'll do it for you. And they gave it to me 2 days.
Did you actually have the Titanic experience?
Yeah. And they gave it to me 2 days before the end of the cruise. And they're like, forgot about this, do you want to still do it? And I'm like, yeah, thanks for that. Do you know what I mean? You've had 12 days to do it. You give it to me on 2 days before the end of the port. And I gave it to him. I thought, you know what? I don't need to be doing that. Stressing myself out, doing like a 8-10 hour day and then suddenly having to draw people's faces before. Yeah, so it didn't happen. I lost my passion, unfortunately. Maybe one day.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody's looking for a new avatar now.
Yeah, you can draw us all.
Yeah, I'll do it if I get the time. I'd love to do it. I always thought about doing it actually when we first started, and then again, it's just getting that passion to do it.
It's fine. We drafted Candy in now,
and she's very good.
It's funny that if you've ever had a caricature drawn of you, it's like, is that how other people? Because obviously you have to over exaggerate people's features or like pick out certain expressions that they use. It's like, is that how people see me? Or it's eye-opening to see how you look to some, like what features are picked out by that caricaturist.
I've done myself as well, and that was quite hard to draw yourself. But yeah, and there's an amazing German artist. I must find his name, but he's fantastic.
You just drew yourself with a massive dick, didn't you?
That's what I was picturing.
There's an amazing artist, German caricaturist, and his work is just insanely good. And you probably would have seen it back in the day. And Spitting Image, of course, were excellent. I used to love Spitting Image. That was one of my favourite shows. It was incredible to see their stuff.
Great. Well, thanks for that, Biggie. Gadget, bring us on home.
So, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to, it was all the standard things. Wanted to be a fireman, wanted to be an astronaut, all that kind of thing. The stuff you watch something on the telly and you think, I want to do that.
Wrestling.
Yeah, like wrestling, yeah. Obviously, things that I generally couldn't do. One, because I have compromised eyesight. 2, because I was a fat little cunt and I just couldn't run for shit. So,
we said the C word a lot today.
I've said it once. It's been punk. Blame punk.
Oh, Candy said it as well.
Fucking blame me, you prick.
Yeah,
they
just
you
slip
are
out
a bad
sometimes.
influence on when it comes to the swearing.
Anyway, yeah, I was never very fit, so I could never do that kind of thing.
Cunt.
I remember when I was sort of kind of heading towards kind of like a tween age, I got a real thing for writing. I kind of wanted to be a journalist. I'm not sure where that came from. Because as I think about it today, the idea of being a journalist seems like a hellish prospect. I mean, imagine writing for the internet today. But yeah, that one kind of stuck with me for a little bit, but I never kind of progressed anywhere with it. And then when I was kind of 14, I picked up the guitar and I started learning that, and it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm totally going to be a rock star. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. But it also kind of pushed me into an avenue because when I was going through my GCSEs, I did want to, I'd done my GCSEs and then it was trying to pick my A levels. I wanted to do something musical because I'd gotten into guitar over the previous 2 years. But the thing is, I'm self-taught. So I knew fuck all of music theory or anything like that. So I couldn't go straight in and do like an A level of music because I'd have no clue what they were fucking saying any point of it. So I did a music tech A level, which was more about recording music and producing music. And I found a real passion for that. Like I really, really enjoyed that. And that's what kind of pushed me into my degree, which is music production and live sound. And I really enjoyed that. That was like, I love being in studios. I love playing with microphones. I love huge mixing desks. I love the chaos of trying to get a drummer to stay in time. I love the impact you can have when you mic something up. So like if you take like a set of drums and you know the image where you've got kind of overhead mics over the top and you've got a microphone clipped onto each drum. And then you hear them play it. And then the thing I love about that is if you just then pull those overheads back a little bit or you move the placement of the microphones on the toms, it changes the whole sound of the kit and you can spend hours just tinkering with ever so slight movements to get that sound that you're looking for. And I really, really loved it. And so kind of it was relatively late for as most people think to find their like thing that they dream about doing. But yeah, I kind of wanted to go down the kind of, Rick Rubin, Andy Sneap kind of thing, produce metal bands, make like own a massive studio and do all that kind of thing. As you can see, I haven't done any of that. Because it turns out opening a recording studio is incredibly expensive and there isn't funding for it. So unless you've got a rich dad, which I don't have, that's not going to happen for you at 22 years old. So yeah, that was a kind of a non-starter. I did do some stuff producing some bands. I've produced some EPs for people, but it's just like on my home setup and stuff. And yeah, it was all right. But I was working with kind of like amateur musicians and kind of I fell out of favor with it for the amount of work it was versus the results I could get with the setup that I had because I couldn't afford to buy the shit that I wanted.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's obviously now paid off in spades because I can edit this podcast and make it sound good. The thing that I keep coming back to though is the writing stuff. Because I've talked about it before. Like after my divorce, I wrote a novel and I published it, self-published it, and I really enjoyed that process. It was very therapeutic at the time. But I keep thinking like I should write another novel. And I read some of this. Like I read a lot of science fiction stuff. I think I could fucking write better than that. Or I like that concept. I want to run with that. So there is a part of me that kind of wants to push back into writing and maybe try some more books and try and do it properly this time, like find an agent and a publisher and, write something weird and original because I've always got weird and original ideas in my head. I just never fucking write them down.
I really enjoyed your book. And that's not just me saying because, we're friends, everything.
Likewise. And I'd love to rip the piss out of you for it. Like, if it was shite, I would be doing cartwheels mocking you, but...
Yeah. It's a really good story, really good characters. I've really invested in the story and everything. Like, genuinely, I don't read a lot of sci-fi. I watch a lot of sci-fi.
Yeah,
but a lot of the stuff I read tends to be fantasy, set in ye olde time kind of things. But I just, because it was you and I wanted to read your book. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'd love to get more stories from you. And you can see that when we do Scorched, how your brain works and putting together these stories and scenarios and things.
Well, you see, that's the other thing. Like, and this is the point. Like, I'm 36 years old in 2 weeks' time. Sorry, just checking the date. 2 weeks' time, I'm 36 years old, and I finally found what I want to be when I grow up. And,
I was just going to say about your book.
And
don't get the Audible version because I have no idea what he was saying.
Well, there isn't an Audible version, you tool. Because do you know how much it costs to make an audiobook?
No, I have no idea.
Fuck you,
We
Biggie.
could do it.
I
We could
voiced
Modern
that.
Escapism
How
record
dare
the
you.
audio version of your book.
I'd love to fucking see that. I'm not editing that, mind. That's 70-something chapters. I'm not editing
Imagine
that.
the voices Oodles had come out with.
Will be Welsh.
Why is this person Welsh, Oodles? Just Oodles.
No, kind of what I want to do with my life is I want to be a professional dungeon master for D&D, and I'm making efforts to do it. I got sent an application form the other day as a prospective DM for D&D in a castle. I don't know if they'll ever select me for it, but I'm going to put myself in there. I'm terrified to write it out because I don't want to fuck it up.
How does that work?
But I can select you.
You go and play D&D in a castle.
Wow.
Awesome.
Literally just what it says on the tin. It's like a
So you go, like, room to room and
like
stuff?
experience weekends. Yeah, it's like experience weekends. So like you and like 4 or 5 other people will kind of pay into it. You'll get like a suite in a castle somewhere. You'll have a dungeon master that leads you through a campaign that lasts like all the way through the weekend. And you get like little one-shot sessions on the side, or little, like, some of them do archery courses and stuff like that, or, you know, cosplaying stuff. And yeah, you literally play D&D in a castle.
I mean, there's nothing to stop you kind of doing your own thing with that anyway. Because if you find a good like Airbnb, and there's all sorts of weird and wonderful Airbnbs, aren't there? You know, you could just hire for a
we've been
weekend.
in one.
Exactly, and that was weird and wonderful.
Yes.
God, it was so weird.
You could put on your own experience weekend as well. Like, I have this like lovely idea of you doing that, and then Pip kind of doing the drinks and everything, completely in costume, both of you.
Naturally.
It being incredible, and she could do the extra characters or the NPCs and whatnot. That'd be so much fun.
Oh yeah, it would be. And yeah, it's something that I find fun. It is hard work. It's ridiculously hard work, but I like letting the imagination, like, even like doing I'm starting a campaign. Well, by the time this is out, the first session will have happened. I'm starting a campaign with just one of the D&D source books, and I'm still beyond excited for it. Like, I haven't written anything for it, but I get to play these characters. I get to create this world for these people, you know? So yeah, it's something that just through the random happenstance of forcing you idiots into playing it, I've actually found something I'm incredibly passionate about.
Awesome.
And I just want to keep doing it. And I think it's the storytelling bit. I like, you know, I don't know if I can make a living as a dungeon master, but I'd like to, like, you know, be able to write books. Basically, I don't want to be in the fucking shitty IT career that I'm in. I want to be creative with what I do for a living. I want to write books. I want to make videos or do streams or whatever. I want to play D&D. I want to be creative. I want people to pay me for that creativity. Just fucking give me money, everybody. I'll make.
You can do that if you head over to patreon.com/modernescapism. That's the first step.
Did you check out that link I sent
First
you?
step in helping
admit
catch
you have
it.
a problem.
Did you see that? Did you see that link I sent you to that Twitter post? I don't know if you.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and it was really useful.
That was
Read
quite
that.
an interesting read about how a guy started.
Scale back on the jargon there, Biggie. I couldn't keep up.
Basically, Biggie sent me a list of a thread. Someone talking about like what it takes to be like make Dungeons and Dragons work for you, like financially, and how to be like a pro at that kind of stuff. And it was really fascinating to read. And there are some things like, you know, I'd love to like expand things. Like I'd love to have like a weekly Twitch campaign,
Yeah.
you know, in the vein of Critical Role or Dimension 20 or something like that. I'd love to have it in person. I'd love to have a set and a big like table set up and like, cameras everywhere. That would be
Candles.
fucking cruel. Candles everywhere.
So many candles.
So many candles and alcohol in real time. You know, I'd love to be able to do stuff like that. Like, I just want to be able to take this as far as I can take it. You know, because it's one of those things that, like, you know what, you know that horrible cliche where it says if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I'm sick of working in IT. I'm sick of working on databases and doing software development. It's just like, yeah, I'm good at it and it pays well, but it's dull as fuck. And I don't get to talk about wizards and dragons all day. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, I certainly
Or spaceships.
think you've turned 4 of us into. I think Candy, you played it before, hadn't you? D&D, but The rest of us,
yeah, but not that
not
much.
doing it before and having turned us all into D&D players now and just enjoying it and just either going along the ride of your storytelling or just trying to wind you up as much as possible about how we can totally fuck up the plan that you've got for us. It's just...
What, like by managing to fall off a flying ship because you thought you'd get a better roll the second time round?
Look, even Tarzan didn't get it right every time.
But Tarzan knew not to swing again.
That was the fun of it. It was just...
Love that episode. It's like... Oh, it was so funny listening back
even
to it
that
as well.
passion has somebody like me that had no interest in D&D listening to it.
I just never thought...
It does you all the credit.
I know playing games is nerdy, and I am a nerd, but I just never thought I'd be as nerdy as that to playing D&D, and here I am, nearly 48, playing that.
Yeah.
Just...
But you know what I love about it, though? It kind of taps back into the kind of the games you'd play in the playground.
Yeah.
You know, and sort of
just organised make-believe.
Organised make-believe and kind of getting back into that part of your brain using, like, creating things on the fly and not thinking too much about it and just doing it. And yeah, there are some rules and some roles and everything, but that just keeps you having to, like, keep adapting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just a really sort of innocent fun, isn't it?
Is this what joy used to feel like?
But do you know what? I think that as adults as well, is that we're better at containing what we want to do with that, because I've played that adventure book with my kids and they just come out and they're inventive and I encourage it and everything. We did a little mini campaign. It took about an hour and a half between us, but they do just throw out shit and you've got to be like, maybe we don't do that and we go like this way because what they're saying just doesn't work. And they change their idea of what they want to be halfway through.
Imagination Nazi.
It's not. It's not that.
That's horrible.
It's just
poor
they've picked a character. They've talked about what they want to do, and then halfway through,
I'm not putting Nazi in our pod title at any point.
It's just halfway through they'll be going, "Oh, actually, what if we didn't do everything we've just spent an hour doing, and they actually did this?" And it's like I love the enthusiasm and the imagination, but it's like, we've already kind of set off on this path.
How about Stigveld comes in and kills everybody?
I mean, to be fair, you lot of guilty for that. I remember in the most recent episode of Scorched that was out, there is a point where Oodles wants to do something and I have to say to him twice, are you sure you want to do that? Yeah. Knowing that I would let him do it if he was absolutely sure, but it would get him killed. But yeah, it's so much fun and it feels like work, but in the best possible way, because you know, even if it's a session where I haven't done like a massive amount of planning, I get to do the hard bit, which is like making it up on the fly, or like with the episode where Biggie nearly killed his character. There is a distinct point where you can hear my brain break slightly as I have to then move away from the carefully put together script I've got for the dramatic scene you're supposed to be playing out to then have to work out on the fly what the fuck I'm doing. And it's so much fun.
Actually peeling vegetables while that was going on. I had the wireless earbuds in and I had to stop because I thought it was going to take a finger off. I'll come back to it.
Do you know what? I listened to the episode again during the week and I was cracking up with Candy's character just being completely twatted and running over to the cannon facing the wrong way of the battle. It's just brilliant. It tickled me.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and like I say, it's something I know I can. If I put the effort in, I know I can make it in the next maybe year or two. I can hopefully quit my job and actually do it as a job. That's the dream.
That'd be a fun one to throw in your boss's face. And what have you got planned for the future? D&D, bitch.
That will literally be my resignation letter.
I've got this recording of an Irishman. Play that wherever you will.
Roll a D20
and that's
on
my
what
resignation as of this date for D&D.
Yeah.
Send it to him on an owl or something.
So like a scroll with a wax seal.
Yeah.
Got to roll a dice to open it.
Well, honestly, I do wish you all the best in chasing that gadget because, I'd love you to do that. It's something you're clearly, obviously passionate that you want to do, and from what you've done with us, like you are brilliant at it. So,
I'm tempted to write backstory novels for all your characters. That'll be fun. This podcast that a couple of hundred people a month listen to, fucking put extended universe novels out.
Yeah, do it. But moving on from us, let's hear what the listeners have to say, and you get out your sack and spill it all over us.
Oh my god!
What?
Fucking hell! Anyway,
that was blunt.
That's what she said.
Oh, I hate you lot so much. Tig says, I wanted to be a teacher. I actually did an English literature degree at uni and did a bunch of youth work when I left prior to doing a PGCE, which I never did. A mixture of being in a relationship and having responsibilities and deciding being a teacher is probably hell on earth meant I was rudderless for years. I mean, I respect the fuck out of teachers. I would not want to do that job.
Tig
I've
would
looked
be
at
the
it before in the
angriest
past.
fucking geography teacher on the planet.
You would be.
No, Tig.
Oh yeah, he would be.
He'd destroy teenagers. Some of the things he said about Dan, and he loves him.
Sticking their fingers in the globe and just spinning it. There's the fucking island, you prick.
I have genuinely looked at doing teacher stuff. I don't know what level it would be at. I don't know how, but I just there was one point where I just thought I really need a career move, and I looked into it and just thought I would like to do that, but it was again like Tig. It was just a lot of other responsibilities and stuff. It was like, nah, it's not. I think I passed that, unfortunately. So it was something I had thought about, but don't think it was ever going to materialise.
I think it's a different
Mr.
job
Baker.
now, isn't it? Teachers like this, you obviously see adverts and stuff, and they're promoting how great it is to be a teacher and all this kind of thing. But realistically, it's quite an underpaid job, thankless in the sense of how you're treated. Lots of work to do when you're not working. All that kind of thing. It's a tough job from my understanding of it. Anyway.
Yeah. All those holiday days, though. Whew.
Oh yeah, that makes up for it. Super Natty Cat looks like she sent in a coherent email for once.
It's a twit. Twit? It's a. It was a tweet that was.
Certainly a twit.
She does this on purpose. She could email us. She could use the website form, but she does it across Twitter. She does it on purpose to wind us up.
Fair enough.
She knows she does.
Where she says, "Hey guys, I wanted to be an optician. Everyone when I was a kid thought that was weird, as most people want to be footballers, teachers, astronauts, or actors. I had really bad eyesight, and growing up with thick as hell specs made me a target for bullies. Alongside being smart and having braces, it was the full package. I'm starting to see the beginning of a John Hughes film here. I saw one optician when I was like 12 who thinned my specs down and convinced my mum to get me contact lenses, and I fell in love. He was so cool, and he was the first optician who treated me with respect, even though I was only a kid. He took me on for work experience, and his enthusiasm and passion for the job made me think, you are so cool, I want to be like you when I grow up. Yeah, opticians are not cool, but fuck, I work so hard for it, and as it's ultra competitive to get into uni to study it. After 4 grueling years, I qualified. I don't have a lot to be proud of in life, but my job is one thing I know I'm good at, and I've saved a few lives too, which is pretty neat. But yes, opticians are nerdy and boring, but we're damn proud of it."
Nice.
Awesome.
Did read that earlier
She
on
absolutely
Twitter.
loves her job as well. Like, I know this firsthand from her speaking about it. She loves an eyeball. She really does.
Because she's
no one's
fucking
more
weird.
passionate than that over eyeballs. Loves it.
I was going to say earlier when I'd seen it on Twitter over several posts, I say, that is the greatest fuck you to bullies. Growing up and being happy in everything you do.
Yeah.
I just beat mine up. It wasn't half as satisfying.
If you,
Oh yeah, she played the long game on it.
Yeah, superb. Wish I became an optician.
but if you're an optician, I assume any of you have had your eyes tested. Would you pretend behind the machine when they're checking your eye and go, "Now the machine's just going to go and blow in your eye"? Would you go just for a joke?
Of course.
Yes, that is exactly what I do.
I spent 4 years at uni for this moment to blow in someone's eye.
I would.
And then
You have
quit.
to know how
Worth
to
it.
count, though, don't you? At least up to 2, because Better or worse? 1,
That's it.
2. 1, 2. Better, 1 or worse?
Go back to 2.
So you have to be able to count. It's mathematical job.
Actually.
And anyone get weirdly anxious during that test that if you can't tell the difference between the two, and you're like, shit, should I be able to tell the difference here?
This is the
Well, they might be
4K test.
tricking you.
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. They're basically exactly the same.
It was such a disappointment when I was younger not getting glasses. I really, really wanted them. But my eyesight's fine, and it's still fine now, and I still really want glasses. It's annoying.
Why don't you buy the little glasses without corrected
You
lenses?
could buy you could be like a little hipster and put some hipster glasses on.
Well, I've got these ones, and these are like the blue light filtering
There you
ones, so
are.
I
They're
can wear them.
perfect.
I can wear them and pretend they're actually doing something, but now you all just look yellow.
Quick stick, get a pair of something on.
Um,
Oh, here we go.
Actual glasses.
Listeners, he's got two pint glasses up to his eyes.
one's a whiskey glass. I nearly went to my
one's a
eye.
whiskey glass.
It wasn't
Sorry.
Fireball, was it?
No. Just honey whiskey. That one.
Rob Shack has come in saying, I wanted to be a fighter pilot like on Top Gun. That lad had aspirations. I got nowhere near it and didn't even try. I'm colorblind. There'd be too many bleep bloop green and red lights. There'd be friendly fire all over the damn place. Rap, rap, rap.
Do you know what? That is a really good shout as well, because that just reminded me. I also wanted to be in the UK version of The Goonies if it had ever happened when I was a kid. That's a very good call.
The joke's too easy.
Yes, it's going to be Chunk.
No, I wasn't thinking Chunk.
Whoa.
Hey, you guys.
You guys.
Anyway, that fucking show guy is a
I like
pro
that
wrestler.
guy.
He's a pro wrestler because I like play fighting in pants. And yes, I did that. Also artist because I was a comics nerd for the longest time in school. I'd always be doodling stuff. And yep, I did that as well. Even sold a comedy cock at an actual gallery show once. I'm sorry, you can't end it there. You need some fucking context on that.
Oh.
That fucking guy.
Cock crescendo, I think. Yeah, works quite well.
He's a good artist. It's all very
Yes.
dirty. All very dirty. Smutty.
You sound happy.
Affects
Spaff.
your sensibilities, doesn't it, Stig?
Yeah.
Last up, Angry Kurt said, as a young kid, when the world was my
He
oyster.
is a fucking young kid.
I know, right? He's a baby. I would probably say I wanted to be an actor. I joined a drama class, and the person who ran it had connections with TV companies and got me work as an extra. That's as far as I ever got. I gave up on the dream when I saw how difficult it would be to get a job as a professional actor, and I wasn't particularly interested in doing minor roles and stuff. So when I was in school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do until GCSE level when I decided to study economics and I found a new love. I used to love those lessons. Then I read a life-changing book in Freakonomics, which made me see how economics could be applied to pretty much any subject, not just finances, and politics, which didn't interest me. This also coincided with me getting into games in a major way, so from there I wanted to work in the games industry, with some capacity outside of development. I looked at job specs for analysts, I saw they all mentioned an economics degree as a good degree to have, which was good, as that's what I wanted to do at uni anyway. Then I went and learned SQL, which most jobs mentioned too, and then I applied for anything in the games industry once I left uni. It took a couple of years of working in a different boring stationery company job, but I eventually realised my dream working at Zynga and now Team 17. I feel so privileged to love going to work, and it's why I always encourage everyone to chase their dream jobs. I feel it's better to have tried and failed than have the regret of never trying it at all. Sorry for the length of it. Kurt, you don't need to apologise for the length of emails. Have you heard punks?
And what?
They're essays. But anyway, yeah, that's a good little one to end on there because he's living his dream.
Yeah, good lad.
Excellent.
Somebody fucking is.
What? Are you not happy slinging chicken McNuggets at the Irish?
It's the Goujons. They're catching me out.
Here I am buying things and working on spreadsheets and databases rather than destroying my body in a steel cage.
Getting addicted to morphine and, going out in a blaze of glory with the police chasing you. That's how it was meant to end for you, Stig.
Of course it was.
In pain, on drugs with a gun.
Took the easy life, though, instead.
Stig Benoit.
Everyone's Gadget from the future here. I forgot to read Oodles' contribution because I was an idiot and didn't put it into our notes. So here's the feedback that he gave for it. Hello, listener. Sorry I couldn't make it this week, but it appears I have no voice. When I were a young'un, for whatever reason, I simply wanted to be a train driver. I was obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine, but weirdly, I didn't actually step foot on a train until I was about 10 or 11, which made the whole experience underwhelming by that point. I also wanted to be a police officer and study public services at school. Nowadays, it seems I'm on the other side of the law more than my intended career. Love you all, Oodles. So, yeah, sorry, Oodles. We forgot you. Back to the episode.
Well, thank you, everyone, for our listeners for emailing in. There's some really good ones there. So, before we leave, Candy, do you want to run through the socials?
I shall. So you can visit our website, modernescapism.co.uk. On there, you can find a link to all of our socials, all of our contact details, and the merch store as well. We do have merch, by the way. We haven't spoken about it in a while. We need to bring that up again. Our merch is cool. Buy some.
Buy our merch. I'm wearing one of our hoodies right now. Biggie is wearing one of our t-shirts. So if you go on the YouTube and look at our video, you can buy that. You can
get a handbag with Biggie's face on it.
Exactly. Who wants that? Oh, you can get a bed sheet with his face on it.
Can't you get underwear with Biggie's face on it?
I think you possibly can, yeah. And if not, then I'm going to make sure that we do. So yeah, Biggie's underwear. If you
that's my
a different
underwear
site.
would
That's
buy it.
fans. Yeah, exactly. We
You want Biggie's face on your nether regions. That's what you want.
Crotchular regions.
Again.
Just buy a pillow and destroy it. That's what I did.
Oh my god. I'm not sleeping well tonight.
That's the plan.
Anyway, if you have any comments or feedback, you can fill out a form on our website, tweet us or email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. We've also got our Discord server. We're good friends with everyone that joins our Discord. It's a bit mad, but we love it. So if you'd like to join our community of listeners for a chat about the podcast and other aspects of pop culture and escapism, give us a join on that. Twitch. Gadget has started a weekly Twitch stream for Elden Ring, which has been brilliant. I've been watching it. And I'm never going to play Elden Ring. I don't want to, but I get to experience it through Gadget streams. So you can find us on twitch.tv/modernescapism. And with the exception of Gadgets on Friday night, we do sort of semi-regular streams. They're a bit kind of sporadic at the moment. So the best place to find our schedule is, or if we decide to do a surprise stream, is to keep an eye on Twitter or the Discord as well. Or just give us a like on Twitch. And
when does Biggie Dies return?
Tomorrow, hopefully. But then that'll be in the future with the pod, so that'll confuse everybody. So it would have been the Monday that's happening tomorrow, but later.
It was a great stream. Thanks, Biggie.
Yes, enjoyed it. Can't believe you died again. We've spoken about our Patreon already. So if you like what we do and want to give us a bit of financial support, we really, really appreciate it. Or if you want to support us in a non-financial way as well, please give us a 5-star review. And the Patreon address is patreon.com/modernescapism. Next week, we're going to have an angry one again next week. I'm looking forward to hearing this. I'm not going to be here, but I'll be listening. Time to get your rant on. And it's things that were missold. So trailers that lie, promises that weren't kept. You know the score. There's been a few culprits in the last couple of years for that. So nice.
We promise we're not going to talk. We promise we're not going to talk about Cyberpunk again.
But we're all thinking about it.
I've already started my email about penis pills. It's just.
Can I talk about Battlefield again?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You talked about Battlefield.
I was wondering where you were going with that for a second. Yeah, I got you.
Nice bit of radio silence. Yeah, that's the socials.
Thank you very much. Punk, before we leave, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
No.
All right, fine.
I didn't bother, so you don't have to.
Yes.
Fuck you then.
All right, I don't fucking care.
Ireland, you can find him in Ireland.
I don't want your money, I just want your love. So you can find me on youcunts.co.uk. Mine's a bit quicker than theirs.
I do love that you bought that domain just for that joke.
5 fucking years. Have to get my money's worth.
Yeah, Punk does a wonderful podcast. What the fuck do you want? It comes out every Monday. It's half an hour to 40 minutes long. People tell him what the fuck he wants. He promises them that he'll get it done. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes things happen before his episodes come out and it ruins the flow. But it's a great podcast. So
sometimes Stig goes on to ask for a new Mario Kart game, and then 2 weeks later, Chocobo GP is announced.
Ends up playing Garfield.
Yeah, Garfield's really good fun. It's more that the recent one, where one of the recent ones, where they announced a Mario Soccer,
The
Strikers, and that was the next episode that was coming out. Kurt wanted those.
That episode was originally going to be coming out as episode 44 because I record way in the fucking future. So
you just had to throw it out there.
Bastard. I had it recorded like 3 weeks before that announcement.
Nintendo just fucking up your schedule.
Fuck them. Fucking Nintendo. I'm kind of blaming you guys too. Get me on for the stream. You knew it was coming. You were setting me up.
Oh, absolutely.
I bet you when you're watching that, you're just thinking, for fuck's sake, I've got an episode on this.
Yeah, I think there is that reaction of, you rotten bastards.
Yeah, so make sure you check.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to finish the pod, but you know.
No, you finish your fucking pod. Go on ahead.
I will do.
Get fucked.
Make sure you check out Punk's podcast and our podcast every Thursday, and we will see you next week if you are not a Patreon subscriber. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, we'll see you in the green room in just a moment. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Say bye.
Good luck.
Daddy, what's a cunt?